a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That fella bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you, Toadstool Sports. Happy July 4th weekend, everybody. Hopefully everybody's celebrating that. There's nothing to celebrate on this fucking show. Everybody have a good day today, good night tonight. Don't listen to me. Why are you even here? Go celebrate. Don't work today. Go launch some fireworks, drink beer. Even though I'm a sober man now, I've got some on-theme, non-alcoholic beers here. Go do some cooking out, whatever. Celebrate the independence of America. Go do it. What else do you want me to say? Yesterday, we obviously should have won Cincinnati, Milwaukee, first 5 under. Chase Burns was good. Jacob Misiorowski, 1 inning, he gave up 4 runs. Guess how many of those runs were earned runs? Did you watch the game? Guess how many? 0 earned runs. So if you want to take into account like just the runs that were earned in that game, the score was 1-1 at the end of the 5th inning based on the earned runs. 4 unearned runs scored in the 2nd inning by Cincinnati. What do you want me to do? Milwaukee just fielding mistakes, and the whole thing just blows up. I can't get anything right, even though that was clearly the correct play. And then the other one wasn't right. Framber Valdez can just fuck off. I hate that guy. I hate Valdez. He should have had a good matchup there. Yeah, that didn't happen because he sucked ass. And Eovaldi was fine enough. But yeah, Valdez was so bad that it didn't even matter. That game had no chance to go under. I'm going to give you multiple plays today, and you know they're all going to lose, so don't listen to anything that I have to say here. Yeah, whatever. We have an afternoon Wrigley game again. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, because it's historic. Wrigley, the last stadium to get lights, whatever. This is St. Louis and the Cubs. It's not really good for the Cubs because the Cubs played yesterday, I'm pretty sure, right? Or no, wait, they were off yesterday. What am I talking about? St. Louis did play yesterday. All right, never mind. So, yeah, it's not good for St. Louis. St. Louis played yesterday, and they beat Atlanta. And now St. Louis has to turn around and play an afternoon game traveling from Atlanta to Chicago after a big win over the Braves. So, yeah, this is a bad spot for St. Louis. However, if you want to play the Cubs here, you have to back good old David Peterson. So do you think I want to do that? No, I do not. The Cubs were off yesterday. Cubs, of course, the prior game, I believe they had a 23-3 win. Is that right? Yes. Over San Diego. I mean, I don't really want any part of the Cubs after they won 23-3. You know what I mean? Any team that wins like that, I don't think you want to play on them in the next game. That's also kind of keeping me off the over because I actually do like the over in this game. The Cubs, of course, have a rested bullpen. St. Louis's bullpen is trashed. They used 6 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. The Cubs are the number 10 bullpen based on whip. I think they're maybe a little bit better than that. St. Louis is 21st. I think they're probably not that bad either. But, yeah, the Cubs clearly have a bullpen advantage here. Cubs are number 3 in offense. They've been hitting better. Well, I mean, they just scored 23 runs. So that's going to skew their numbers a bit, but they're still a good offense. St. Louis is middle of the pack, 16th, tied with Baltimore. St. Louis is going with Andre Payante, who doesn't really have bad numbers, really, even though I don't think he's that good. 3.83 ERA, 1.23 whip. That's not awful. He's good on the road, 2.73 road ERA. Although he did face the Cubs at the end of May at home, and that wasn't good. He gave up 8 hits, 4 runs in 3 innings, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. Yeah, not great. His numbers against the Cubs, yeah, not great. In 76 at-bats, 382 batting average allowed, 1,072 OPS, 1210 strikeout walk ratio. Very bad. So, you know, I mean, even though I know Chicago, you want to fade the fact that they put up 23 runs in the last game, I don't really see them being held to a low run total here. You know what I mean? Pretty much all the indicators, they look like they have a good offensive matchup here, even though Payante's in the good road split of his here. I don't want to back the Cubs as a side because I'm not going to back David Peterson. This guy blows. He wasn't even good enough for the Mets. Although, you know, like I said with Eric Lauer, you could make the argument that, well, Peterson was on the Mets. You know, he was on this team that was struggling. Maybe him going to a contending team will actually make him pitch better. It's possible. I've never thought that Peterson was good, though. He's got a 5.86 ERA, 1.59 whip. That's not good. 7.15 home ERA, but take into account that was pretty much all with the Mets. In fact, I believe he only has 1 start so far with the Cubs, which was this last outing against Milwaukee. And he was okay. He held Milwaukee to 2 earned runs in 5 2/3 innings in Milwaukee. 2 strikeouts, no walks. I mean, he was better than you could hope for. Is he going to continue pitching that well? Yeah, I don't know about that. Probably not. Numbers against St. Louis, not good. 24 at-bats, although pretty much all of their hitters have seen him. 375 average, 1,048 OPS, 5.2 strikeout walk ratio. So like I said, I think you got to go over if you're going to play this game. It's not going to be on my card, but I don't love playing the over with the Cubs coming off a 23-run effort. And maybe the Cubs will be a little bit lesser offensively just because they didn't play yesterday. Of course, they're not going to put up 23 runs again, but this to me still looks like it's going to be a high-scoring game. The money doesn't agree. 63% of tickets on the over, 55% of the cash on the under. I don't understand what's going on with that. The total's 10.5, so the odds makers are kind of telling you they think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but it looks like it's probably also because of the Wrigley Lake effect, which, you know, that always affects the total. Last Cubs series, that was part of the reason why the Cubs put up so many runs, was they're basically playing in hurricane force winds blowing out of the stadium in that game, and it still didn't even help San Diego that much. But yeah, I mean, that series was definitely an over type of series. You know, maybe this one will be as well. I think the over makes the most sense to me in this game. Money is backing St. Louis. I can kind of see the argument for it, but, I mean, I would only do it in the first 5. There's no way that you could back St. Louis full game here. I mean, they're the unrested team and having to travel, and they don't have a good bullpen, and their bullpen's unrested. 70% of the tickets on the Cubs, 88% of the cash on St. Louis. You know, I don't even know if I agree with St. Louis. I wouldn't touch that. I think over is the only way to really look at that game, but still not going to do it. Pittsburgh and Washington. Washington is returning home from a road trip, and you know I talk about road trip returns, not a good spot. You have to get back to home life. Washington somehow unloaded on the Red Sox pitching at the end of that last series. Washington is one of the best road offenses, though, in baseball, but they just went to Baltimore and then Boston. Not really a long road trip geographically, but still returning home from being away for a week. However, Washington clearly has a starting pitching advantage here, so I don't really want to fade them. Pittsburgh just had a pretty good win over Philadelphia. They split the series with Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh played yesterday. So, you know, I don't really want to fade Washington for that reason either. Washington has a rest advantage. Washington did not play yesterday, so Washington is returning home from a road trip, which is a negative because you get distracted. You have to get back to home life, whatever. Pittsburgh played yesterday, though, and beat Philadelphia, so that's not a good spot for Pittsburgh either. As far as the bullpens, yeah, I mean, these are not good bullpens. Pittsburgh 22nd, Washington 26th. That's pretty much about accurate. Pittsburgh is the better of the two for what that's worth, but they're also not rested. Pittsburgh used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Washington, both teams have a good offense. Pittsburgh number 2, Washington number 4. This could be another high-scoring series here. I know, I feel like some of these games just seem like overs here. Mitch Keller is pitching for Pittsburgh. He, he's been okay, but he had a bit of an issue recently. Had a couple of bad starts over the past month. 4.87 ERA, 1.3 whip, not great. Pretty good on the road, 3.96 road ERA. He was fine in his last 2 starts, so those are both at home, but he bounced back, had a couple of good starts there. After he was just walking a lot of guys for a few starts in a row. I don't know what the deal was with that. He's got a pretty low hit rate here. His walk rate is too high to some degree, I would say. Yeah, and his strikeout rate is not that high. Keller against Washington, not good. 92 at bats. They've had a lot of experience against him. 304 batting average, 777 OPS, 18-7 strikeout walk ratio. None of that is really good at all. By the way, I did forget to just do the overview of these other pitchers. Payante has kind of a low hit rate for St. Louis. Pretty low walk rate, but he doesn't strike anybody out. So just giving you the style overview there. David Peterson blows. Peterson has a high hit rate, high walk rate, and his strikeout rate is mediocre, I would say. So that's what you're getting there. Anyway, back to this game. Washington has Foster Griffin pitching. One of the biggest surprises of the year, really. Like, again, you don't really get a 30-year-old guy who just doesn't have much major league experience, and he's having a great season. I don't get it, but, I mean, I don't see too much of a reason to question it. He's got a 2.93 ERA, 1.04 whip. This is good stuff. He's a little bit worse at home, 3.12 home ERA. He was awesome in June. He had a 33-4 strikeout walk ratio and 1.15 ERA in June. He allowed 1 or 0 earned run in every start in June. Yeah, that's pretty good. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate, reasonably high strikeout rate. Yeah, I mean, it looks legitimate to me. And he's going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has 15 at-bats against him. They have actually had success against him, the 6 guys that have faced him. 333 average, 908 OPS, 4-1 strikeout walk ratio. Yeah, I mean, Griffin still is the better pitcher here. The money is coming in on Washington. Washington's at about minus 140, 72% of the tickets, 95% of the cash on Washington. I mean, Washington, they do have a rest advantage. They do have the better starting pitcher. They're also in a dreaded return home spot, which I don't like. Total's 9.5, 53% of tickets, 59% of the cash on the over. Again, I think maybe the over is the better way to play this. I don't like this one nearly as much as the other one, even though the market actually agrees with this one more. That other game, I think both starters are pretty fadeable, Payante and Peterson. This game, I don't dislike either of these starters as much, but they don't have good matchup numbers, and you have 2 bad bullpens here, so that might be enough to get the job done on the over here. I don't want to do it, but that might be the way I would lean, although hitting a lot of times will struggle a little bit upon the return home spot. The hitters can be distracted and whatever, so yeah, I mean, it's a game I'm staying away from again. Minnesota and the Yankees. The Yankees have lost 6 games in a row. 7 games in a row, excuse me. I think before that, they hadn't lost more than like 4 in a row all season. They got swept by the Red Sox in a 4-game series and then swept by Detroit at home in a 3-game series. Detroit's not even good on the road. Probably a good time for the Yankees to have a day off, which is what happened yesterday. So the Yankees' day off, staying at home, should be a pretty good spot for them to bounce back here. They get Minnesota coming in. Minnesota's not very good. Although Minnesota does hit well, at least. Minnesota did not play yesterday either, I don't think. They beat Houston the prior day. Now they're traveling from Houston to New York. Both teams have a day off here. I don't know that the day off is going to help Minnesota's bullpen. This is a garbage bullpen here. Yankees bullpen has actually been really good. They're at number 4, and they have the second best ERA right now. I don't think they're quite that good, but they're pretty good. Minnesota is one of the worst. They're at 29th, really bad bullpen. So Yankees have an advantage there. Yankees offense has dropped a little bit over that past stretch. You can explain why they weren't that good against the Red Sox because the Red Sox pitch well. Detroit, maybe not quite as much. So I don't know how the Yankees didn't really get anything going in that series. Yankees are 6th in offense right now, but I think they are better than that. Minnesota 11th. Minnesota's been a capable offense as well. Minnesota's going with Mike Paredes starting here. Still doesn't have his mugshot on ESPN. Still don't really know what to do with this guy. He's kind of a small frame pitcher, which kind of leads me to believe he doesn't really throw that hard, but I don't really remember what his scouting report said. His numbers have been okay so far. I think this is his only season in the majors so far. He's made 4 starts and 2 relief appearances, 4.26 ERA, 1.26 whip. He's been good on the road, 3.31 road ERA. He's been okay. He hasn't gone that deep into any of his outings. They are ramping him up a little bit. He's thrown up to 75 pitches in his last 2 games, basically. So they're ramping him up a bit, but he doesn't strike guys out. So again, like I said, I don't think he throws hard, but he does have a pretty low hit rate. His walk rate is not too bad, so he's not really putting a lot of guys on base, but he doesn't blow guys away either. The Yankees haven't seen him before. I don't know how much of an edge that's really going to be, but young pitchers not having been seen before is usually a little bit of an edge to the pitcher. But in this case, I don't know, man. Having to go to New York and facing a New York offense here, the Yankees offense, Yankees are probably going to do some damage there. Yankees are going with Garrett Cole. He missed an entire season with injury. He's back. He's looked pretty good at times. He's looked not so good at times already. A 4.06 ERA, 1.22 whip. I don't know if he's ever going to be what he once was because he is up there in age now at 35. He's still a pretty capable pitcher, though. He's still a pretty good pitcher, I would say. His numbers are all right there. He's been good at home so far, 3.12 ERA. Wasn't good against the Red Sox last time out or Detroit the time before that. Cole kind of notoriously struggles in Fenway Park, though. Although this current Red Sox iteration is not a good hitting team. Neither is Detroit, really, so not a great sign that he wasn't great in those starts. He did still have 10 strikeouts and 2 walks, though, so his command was all right, but he was too hittable in those 2 starts. Overall, his numbers are not bad here. Hit rate below 1 per inning. His walk rate is okay. Strikeout rate is not what it once was, though. It's a little bit low for what you usually get out of him. His numbers against Minnesota, they're kind of weird. I mean, Minnesota only has 4 hitters who have faced him, 25 at-bats. It's a small sample, but half of the hits they have against him are home runs, 2 from Buxton and 1 from Larnach. They have 9 strikeouts, 4 walks, 3 walks from Bell, 240 average, not really high, but a 945 OPS. I don't know what you do with that information because it's such a small sample size. Does Minnesota actually hit him well? Maybe they do. Minnesota's at least capable. I don't know. This total is high, man. This is high for a Garrett Cole game. The total's at 10, and the money's backing the over. 62% of tickets, 89% of the cash on the over. I probably agree with the over in this one. I think there might be more ways to get there with the over than anything else in this game. Yankees are public, of course. That makes sense. They're always going to be 85% or almost always 85% of tickets, 87% of the cash on them. They're at minus 187 though, or so. I mean, you're paying too much of a price for the Yankees, man. Almost always, with Garrett Cole on the mound and the Yankees, you have to pay a premium for the Yankees, so you can't really lay the money line with them. If you wanted to do like a run line, I wouldn't even do that. I don't think, even though they should bounce back and win here, you would expect. But I think if you're going to try to just back the Yankees here, I would back the Yankees team total over. And, maybe that's the better way to do it because I think if the game's going to go over, it's going to be the Yankees doing most of that damage. And I know the Yankees have not been hitting well recently, but this is still a really good offense, even with Judge not there. This is probably a little bit more ideal. I know you don't know what you're going to get out of Paredes. Maybe the Yankees will struggle to figure him out. But you do have Minnesota's bullpen in your back pocket if you do it that way. Yeah, I think either over or Yankees team total over makes the most sense there. Although if you do the Yankees one, you're going to need them to probably score 6 runs here. So they're capable of doing it, but yeah, I mean, I'm going to, I'm staying away. The next game will be a play for me. This is mostly a situational play, but I do think we have the better starting pitcher for us as well with Baltimore money line, full game, -120. I think we got a lot of advantages here. Baltimore has a rest advantage, so Baltimore did not play yesterday. They did beat the White Sox, but the good thing about that is it ended a... Dude, what is going on here? Paul Skeens in an A's uniform. Is he going to get traded to the A's? What's happening? I don't think so. Baltimore beat the White Sox in their last game, but I don't think it's going to put them in a letdown spot here because they ended a 4-game losing streak. So I think you get positive momentum a lot of times when you break a losing streak, and I think that momentum tends to carry over when you start a new series. Usually starting a new road series, starting a road trip, usually you're focused because you want to get the road trip off on the right foot. Baltimore is rested. Cincinnati not only played yesterday, but they beat Milwaukee, and I told you they were aided by bad fielding, which killed our underplay, which absolutely should have been a winner. Really, the more questionable part of that was going to be Chase Burns, and Burns was really good in the game, and Misiorowski wasn't even bad in the game, just the fielding ruined the game. 4 unearned runs, dude. There's nothing you could do about that. Nothing you could do about it. Now, Cincinnati, they did also end a 4-game losing streak. So Cincinnati, they're in that similar spot in that way where they broke a losing streak. But the reason why I don't like this for Cincinnati is they don't have a day off, and they're returning home from a road trip. So this is a multiple negative here. I talk about when a team returns home from the road, a lot of times they get distracted. And their road trip was a big deal. They went to Pittsburgh and Milwaukee, so they played all divisional opponents. Finally got a big win. They beat Misiorowski yesterday, man. That's a big deal. And now they're returning home from that. I think it could be a letdown spot plus lack of rest, plus it's a return home spot, and it could be a distraction because how much attention do you think Cincinnati's going to pay to an American League team coming in and not even a particularly good one? Yeah, I don't know. It does not look like the best spot for Cincinnati to me at all. So this is the best situational spot on the board, but I also think that we have the better starting pitcher here and the better bullpen, so I like that too. Cincinnati's bullpen is trash. They used 3 guys yesterday. At least Burns kind of saved them a little bit, but they're the 28th ranked bullpen, so this is definitely a bullpen you could fade. Baltimore is ranked 14th. They're like a mediocre bullpen, so I think I'm okay with leaving Baltimore's bullpen in, especially given that they're rested as well, and Cincinnati's isn't, so that should exacerbate the somewhat, the bullpen edge that they have to some extent. Hitting-wise, Baltimore is also better. Baltimore's tied in 16th with the Cardinals. The Birds, both 16th there. The Reds have not been hitting well. The Reds are 23rd, tied with the Blue Jays. Not a good sign, even though they probably do hit a little bit better at home. We're going to back Trevor Rogers. Now, his matchup numbers don't look that good, but it's a small sample size, and I know I've been blasting Rogers this season because I don't know what happened to him, because last year he was actually awesome for the Orioles, just from out of nowhere. This year he has not been good. However, if you look at what he's done over his past few starts, he looks like he's in form again, man. So Rogers looks like he is starting to pitch better again. It is becoming a beautiful day in the neighborhood again. I know his numbers don't look very good here. 4.99 ERA, 1.31 whip. It probably indicates his ERA should be a little bit better than it is. He's been slightly less bad on the road, but really close ERA-wise there, 4.94 road ERA. But you look at what he's done over the month of June. He had a 2.05 ERA, 23 strikeouts, 6 walks, 22 hits allowed in 30 2/3 innings. So while that wasn't really a high strikeout rate, he wasn't walking guys, he wasn't allowing hits, and he was not allowing runs. And he faced a couple of good offenses in there too. He faced Dodgers on the road, Washington at home. Those were his last 2 starts. He went 13 1/3 innings over those 2 starts and only allowed 6 hits and 1 earned run, had 13 strikeouts and 2 walks. So he looks like he's back right now, man. He's in good form. That is a good sign that he was able to basically shred 2 of the top 5 offenses in baseball. That's good. So Rogers looks like he's back in form here, man. And I did warn you, he does not have good numbers against Cincinnati. But I'm okay with it because he's still the better pitcher here, and he still has better matchup outlook than what's on the other side, which I'll talk about in a minute. Rogers, only 14 at-bats against Cincinnati, so how much weight do you really put into that? They do have a 286 average against him, and they do have 2 home runs off him. Blade and De La Cruz, 1126 OPS. I know that looks bad. It's really high, but again, only 6 of their hitters have faced him. It's a small sample. They haven't seen Rogers this year, so they're not recently familiar with him. I don't even know if they faced him last year, to be honest. So Rogers is not really familiar to them, and Rogers, like I said, his career wasn't really that good until last year when he found something and started pitching better. So I don't think we should put that much weight into these numbers. 6-3 strikeout walk ratio. They're also not that good, but I prefer what we see there to Brady Singer, who is just not great, not in good form right now. Singer, he's definitely the worst of these two pitchers. 5.12 ERA, 1.54 whip, not good. He is good at home, though. I realize that. 3.25 home ERA, so he's been much better at home. So usually you do want to not really fade him when he's at home. I'm going to do it anyway. I know the last time at home he pitched well against Milwaukee. That is a good sign. He was good in the previous home start, but that was against the Mets. I mean, they are a crap offense. He was bad in his last start, but it was on the road against Pittsburgh, so maybe you do have to give him a pass for that because Pittsburgh, they're a good hitting team at home, but I just don't love what we're seeing out of Singer, dude. Just overall, really, really high hit rate overall. I know it's gone down a bit this past month, but I don't know, man. He faced some really weak offenses in there. San Diego, Mets. Baltimore is obviously a step up from those two teams. Singer still has a pretty low strikeout rate. His walk rate actually isn't too bad, but his problem is he's way too hittable, and he does allow a fair amount of home runs, even though he's not really a huge fly ball pitcher. The home runs could be an issue, back at home here, even though I know his ERA is better at home. But you look at his numbers against Baltimore, he doesn't do well against Baltimore. They have 26 at-bats against him. I know it's not the biggest sample, but it's, not... It's at least, I think we can gauge something from this. 308 batting average allowed, 973 OPS. And it's not just like one guy, doing a bunch of damage here. It's the whole lineup kind of evenly spaced out with the damage there. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. Yeah, so I like it, man. The situation, I think, is really strong to play Baltimore here for all the reasons I gave you. The money doesn't agree. Oh, no, the money is agreeing with me now. There you go, baby. My handicapping is right on again. 53% of the tickets, 93% of the cash on Baltimore. Dude, I was going against the market, Reid, what I was seeing when I handicapped this morning. The market was completely disagreeing with me. Now it's coming to me, baby. Maybe it's just because I'm being spied on. I'm such a talented handicapper that my mind moves the line. You know what I mean? Or, well, it wasn't the line, though. It was the money, though. But maybe it's a bunch of professionals following my lead, the lead of my mind. But, yeah, the number hasn't really moved. Baltimore's in the minus 120s. I think you can find a price right around that. Baltimore money line is the play there. We also have another high total there. The total's 10. Money coming in on the over. Based on those, matchup numbers that we just saw, and I don't like either bullpen either, I think over does also make sense in that game. So I know 4 straight games, I think the over makes sense, but I like Baltimore to win that game. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Dude, stop saying that. Stop jinxing me. It's not going to be a fucking bounce back. There's no rhyme or reason to this, other than the fact that I'm good at what I do. Zach, what's up? Yes, thank you. I'm pissed off. Yeah. Gerald, what's up? Kyle, what's up? Yeah, do you see the black cloud? I don't know. Is it cloudy today? It feels darker. Maybe it's just my mindset, but it feels like it's darker today. Maybe it is raining today. I don't know. Kyle, yes, what's up? Mr. Pinsey, yeah, fuck pregame, dude. Fuck those assholes. Their CEO seems like he disappeared. He used to do a podcast, and that podcast disappeared. They claim that they're fixing their shit, and it hasn't been fixed for months now. They were literally the best free tool to use for looking at sportsbook action. They're done. Fuck them. I'm using Wager Talk. Wager Talk is using Odds Logic, which is a good screen. Dude, Odds Logic, it's a fairly expensive tool. I'm considering maybe buying it, and maybe trying to cut my costs otherwise. This is like a free version, a limited version that doesn't refresh as quickly or whatever of Odds Logic. That's what Wager Talk uses. Wager Talk, I'm going to tell you, dude, Wager Talk, I would support them just in that they have a lot of good content, and their guys are the guys that I've learned the most from, especially Marco D'Angelo, and he's one of the founders of it. So he left that other site. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about any of that, but I mean, that's just publicly known that that's what happened. And some of the other guys also left that other site and came to Wager Talk. So, Yanni the Greek, a.k.a. Vegas Runner, Ace, that guy. Really, really great with the market reading stuff. So I've been following him for a long time too. And then, Wager Talk's got some of the better content, dude. And I always, I shout out the Morning Wager because they've shouted me out before because I am always in their comment section or whatever, which is Brian Power and Mark Zinno. Although Zinno is at one of the other sites, Picks and Parlays, I believe is what it is. I think they're like sister sites though. But they put on both of their YouTube channels, they have the Morning Wager every weekday morning. I watch that show, and a lot of times they're in line with my thinking. A lot of times they're also not. So, it's always good to have, differing opinions to try to check your own opinion against others, other guys that do this, you know what I mean? So, and they have a really good dynamic on that show. It's almost like a comedy duo, so I like that show. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Thank you. Yes, reverse jinx me. Yes, thank you. All right. This show is taking way too long, dude. I want to get through this show. Yes, I gave you Baltimore. This next game, I like this next game. This next game, I was considering it. Let me look at what Action Network says about this next game. Because this next game, it's White Sox-Cleveland. To me, it looks like it's fairly one-sided with the pitching matchup. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, Action Network seems like it has a slight agreement with me in the market read there. I like Cleveland in this game, but Cleveland did win yesterday. I don't know how. Cleveland's offense has actually been a little bit better in the last two games. They're staying at home here. Of course, these teams, like I said, they started this series yesterday, so the series has already begun. Cleveland won the game 6-5. Again, kind of surprising that Cleveland's offense has been able to do something the last two games because we know Jose Ramirez is out with a broken hand. This offense has really struggled quite a bit. The White Sox definitely have the better offense, but like I pointed out yesterday, I kind of worried about I liked the White Sox pitching matchup yesterday with Davis Martin, but there were some concerns with it because it looked way too easy to play the White Sox. And in this game, it looks even easier, right? You get the White Sox off a loss, and the White Sox are going to be an underdog here. It looks so easy to take the White Sox, right? Although these teams, I think, have similar records right now. But the public is always playing the offense, and that's Chicago. You know what I mean? So the public is going to be, oh, my God, I get the White Sox offense as an underdog here. They're going to want to do that. I don't like it just because I think this is a pretty big pitching mismatch in favor of Cleveland, to be honest. And that is why Cleveland is favored. You're paying for it a little bit, but I still think the price isn't that bad. Cleveland did use 3 relief pitchers yesterday. The White Sox used 4. Cleveland, like I said yesterday, I think they do have the better bullpen. They're ranked 17th. The White Sox are ranked 20th. They both have an ERA around 4, but Cleveland's is on the correct side of it. And I think Cleveland's is the better bullpen, although Cleveland probably used their better relievers, though. You know what? They didn't. I think Cleveland must have won the game in the 9th inning or something yesterday because they used like Gaddis and Festa as their like back end 2 guys, and those guys didn't see the game yesterday. So, although they were also not rested, but yeah, Cleveland. So their better relievers are also available here, Cleveland's. So Cleveland does have a bullpen edge. White Sox clearly have an offensive edge. Like I said, they're number 7. Cleveland is number 28. But this is, again, pitching, I think, matters a little bit more than hitting. And the White Sox are going with Anthony Kay. I don't think he's good, obviously. I think he's kind of just an older journeyman pitcher, kind of a converted reliever. He's been decent this season, but I just don't think he's very good. His numbers are getting worse. 4.5 ERA, 1.43 WHIP is definitely not good. Probably his ERA should be higher than it is. He's been bad on the road, 6.4 road ERA. Pitched against Cleveland 2 starts ago. He did really well, though, at home against Cleveland. That was his only really good recent start. Well, actually, he pitched really well against the Dodgers at home as well. But all of his recent road starts were bad, and his recent home start was bad as well against Kansas City. You know, that's not good that he did bad against Kansas City in his last start, because Kansas City, they can't hit on the road, so that is not a good sign. But yes, K did pretty much dominate Cleveland the start before that in Chicago. He went 6 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 3 hits allowed. That was like, he looked like a really good pitcher in that one. So Cleveland, you know, part of my worry here is that Cleveland doesn't match up well against him. Now, Cleveland did just see him, so that might help them, you know, figure him out and do better this time. And yeah, I think Cleveland's offense will at least get something done against him here. They have 18 at-bats against him, 167 average, 452 OPS. I just don't really know if I want to jump in and fade that, man. I mean, this is still bad. Cleveland, they have no extra base hits against him, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. So most of that is that one start from K. My worry here is that even though a lot of things line up against K here, like the fact that he sucks, he's really bad on the road, wasn't good in his last start, but he does have a good matchup here, so that's one of my issues with it. But obviously, Gavin Williams is the better pitcher here. He's going for Cleveland. He's having a good season. I think this has been his best season so far, at least. Don't want to jinx him. 3.81 ERA, 1.17 WHIP. Really good at home, 2.74 home ERA. So the home road splits heavily favor Williams here. Williams has been pitching pretty well, pretty much throughout the last month plus, basically. Had a bad start in there at Milwaukee. You know, I mean, he wasn't as bad as maybe it looked because he didn't really put that many guys on base in that one. Other than that, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in whatever that is. I think that's... I can't see how many rows there are anymore because of my stroke. 7 of his last 8 games, I think that's what that is. He's got a high strikeout rate, so he's fooling guys at the major league level. Low hit rate. They haven't really been able to hit him that well. He's a grinder. He's thrown a lot of innings already, although sometimes that will catch up with you as the season goes. But it looks like he's been a little bit more limited recently. Well, really, it's because he's been inefficient with his pitches, though, so maybe that's a little bit of an issue. His walk rate is reasonably low as well. He did face the White Sox in that series that I mentioned that was a couple series ago. He did well. He pitched on the road in that one where he's not as good. He only went 5 innings. He was a little bit inefficient, but he had 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 2 runs allowed him, 5 hits. So he did pitch well there. And he does have good numbers against the White Sox. So he's able to silence this good offense. They have 31 at-bats against him. 10 strikeouts is a lot. 4 walks, although a lot of that was the last start. 226 average, 605 OPS. Williams has been good. Like I said, I would play Cleveland if I was going to play this game. Close to making the cut. And dude, I don't want to talk about close to making the cut because you remember what my first game was that I left off my card yesterday. First 5 under in Anaheim and Seattle. That was a 1-0 game for the full game yesterday. Urania was wild. I will say that. He walked a bunch of guys in the game, but he allowed 1 run, I think, or maybe no runs in the game. So yeah, that game would have been a winner for me if I just added it to my card. I was right. That was my bubble play. The one game I left off the card that I liked enough to almost put it on. That was my bubble play. I'm pissed because that was an easy winner. Bryce Miller was excellent in the game. Thomas, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right, and then what else was I going to say here? Oh, yeah, the market read. Dude, this is going to take forever, this show. And we have a couple of teams not playing. Philadelphia's not playing today because there's a World Cup game in Philly. So Philadelphia and I forget who their opponent is over the weekend, but they have a day off today, those two teams. Let me see. What was I looking at? Oh, yeah, Cleveland. Yeah, the money is definitely back in Cleveland. 58% of tickets, 88% of the cash on them are in the minus 130 something range. Yeah, I do like it. I would play Cleveland full game money line in that game. That's how I would play it. Mets in Atlanta. I consider this game. I like the Mets in this game. Atlanta is staying at home, though, and they have lost 4 out of their last 5. But they've been playing bad baseball recently, man. There's no way around it. They haven't been playing well. They haven't been hitting well. They don't hit particularly well at home. So this Atlanta team's just not playing well. I mean, maybe it could be a bounce-back spot after losing the St. Louis series yesterday, but the Mets are coming in with rest, although the Mets are really bad on the road, so I don't love that. Mets are coming in off of playing Toronto. Don't want to talk about that because that was another loser we had. Freddie Peralta, awful in that game. What are you doing, dude? Peralta, he's just continuing to fuck me over. And I used to get some wins playing on Peralta. Why does he hate me now? But the Mets are coming in from Toronto, so I don't exactly love the travel spot here. Mets didn't play yesterday, though, so the Mets have extra rest. So that's what we have going on here. The Mets have a travel disadvantage, but Atlanta has a rest disadvantage because Atlanta played yesterday, so you got that. Now, Atlanta does have the better bullpen, although they did use relief pitchers yesterday, and the Mets did not. Atlanta only used 2, though. Atlanta's the best bullpen in baseball. The Mets are ranked second, though. The Mets, they're competitive. They're not a bad bullpen. They're probably like a top several bullpen. Atlanta's fallen way off offensively, though. They were like in the top several offenses all year, and now they're down to 18th. Yeah, things are not going right for this Atlanta offense right now, man. I don't know what's the deal. The Mets are dead last again, though. The Mets have fallen behind San Diego again. So, yeah, Atlanta still has the better offense in this matchup. I think the Mets could have the better starting pitcher, though. They got Christian Scott going. Scott's, he had a kind of a delayed start to his career, I think, because of some injuries. He's made 19 career starts, including last year and then this year. He's been okay. He's got a 3.2 ERA this year, although his 1.33 whip does indicate that his ERA should be higher than that. But he's not bad. He's been good on the road, 2.16 road ERA. So sometimes I think these younger pitchers, a lot of times they kind of do better on the road sometimes because it's like there's less pressure on you, less expected of you. I worry a little bit, though, because Scott didn't go deep into his last 2 starts. The Mets still actually won them both, though. So the Mets have won 4 starts in a row of his, and they've won 6 of his last 7 starts. So the Mets have been winning with Scott on the mound. He's not allowing that many runs, but one concern, like I said, is he's not going that deep into these outings. So that's a little bit of a concern. They're keeping him a little bit on a pitch count. He's just inefficient with his pitches right now. Overall numbers, pretty low hit rate is pretty good. His walk rate is definitely too high, though. He's got some walk issues, which isn't that great, although it's gotten a little bit better recently. His strikeout rate is high, so that's a good sign that he's able to strike guys out at the major league level. So I do think Scott is pretty good. I believe Atlanta has seen him before a little bit. Yeah, they have 15 at-bats against him, but they have not done much against him. In fact, they only have 3 hits against him, and all of them are Michael Harris, and all of them are singles. So do what you want with that info. But, yeah, they have 6 batters who have seen him, and only one of them has any hits off him. 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. The walk is Austin Riley. 200 batting average allowed, 450 OPS. So in a very small sample size, Scott has done well against Atlanta. I don't believe they've seen him this year. You may have to check me on that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that Atlanta hasn't faced him this year. So they don't have any recent familiarity with Scott. So, I talk about how these young pitchers, sometimes when these guys face him a second time, they'll do better off that pitcher, but it might not happen here because they haven't seen him in like a year. So Scott, I think he sets up to pitch pretty well here, and I actually prefer him over Grant Holmes. Holmes has some kind of similar numbers to Scott in a way, though. He's pitching for the Braves. He's a pretty mediocre pitcher, man. He's got a 3.96 ERA, 1.36 whip. He's not as good at home, although last year he was better at home, so I don't know what to make of that. 4.26 home ERA this year. He's not going deep into his outings either. He's failed to make it 5 innings in 4 starts in a row, and it's not a good sign, really. The Braves have lost all 4 of those games. So you have Scott on the one hand. The Mets are winning all of his games. The Braves are losing all of Holmes' games. And that's not a good sign because the last 3 of them, Holmes faced San Francisco twice and San Diego, and those are not good offenses. Holmes wasn't exactly bad in those outings, but that's not a good sign that they're losing those games to teams that don't hit. But part of it was that Atlanta got shut out in 2 of those games, though. So Atlanta just couldn't even hit the ball at all in those games. But Holmes has some other issues, though. Holmes is walking a ton of guys, dude. He walked 8 guys across the first game against San Francisco and the game against San Diego in 6 2/3 innings. Is that bad? Yeah. Holmes does have a low hit rate on the season. His walk rate is too high, and his strikeout rate is pretty mediocre. So, yeah, Holmes has issues with walks, man. I don't really love the guy. Nothing personal. I mean, I like his hair and the stash. He has the look of, a pitcher that would have been in the league in like the 90s, which I like. But there's not a lot else to like here, except he is actually good against the Mets. I mean, not surprising, probably because the Mets don't hit well. 21 at bats, 190 batting average, 499 OPS, 8-2 strikeout walk ratio. So I don't really want to fade that. It looks like a bad spot for Atlanta, sort of, in that they're at a rest disadvantage here. But I don't like the travel spot really for the Mets. I think maybe an under might be the better approach here. I mean, you got 2 good bullpens here. The money's on the over, and the total's 9.5, which, that makes me hesitate on that because when the odds makers put a total up there like that, they're basically telling you they think there are going to be runs here. But this Atlanta offense has been bad recently, like I said, and the Mets have been bad offensively all season. So you're getting 2 offenses that are not playing well. You're getting 2 starters that I think match up pretty well here. 2 good bullpens. It seems like an under to me. 58% of tickets on the over, 80% of the cash on the over, money backing the over. It's not going to be on my card or anything. 71% of tickets, 85% of the cash on Atlanta. It looks way too easy to play Atlanta. I lean to the Mets here. I would not play Atlanta at minus 112 or whatever. It looks way too easy to play Atlanta, dude. Like when you get the team with a better record, I know they've not been playing well recently, and the public is usually recency biased, but the public are clearly going to be on Atlanta here. And again, it just looks way too easy to do it. The team with the way better record, it's like a pick the winner situation, and the Mets have a pitcher that nobody really knows who he is. So I think Scott is a little bit under the radar. I would lean towards the Mets, and I think you can keep the bullpen in that one because they do at least have a bullpen rest edge there, and their bullpen is fairly trustworthy. So, all right. Next game, San Francisco and Colorado. I don't know what's going on with this because San Francisco, I think they did announce Webb as their starter, but now they're undecided. So I don't know what San Francisco's doing here. If they're going to push Webb back, is Webb injured? I don't know what the deal is here. No, he's active. It looks fine. I don't know. I don't know what San Francisco's doing here. But Webb may pitch today, so I don't know. Colorado is at a rest disadvantage. Colorado played yesterday, and they blasted Miami yesterday, 14-4. So Colorado was able to get the last 2 games of the Miami series to even the series yesterday. Colorado, they're hitting well right now at the very least, but they're at a rest disadvantage. San Francisco didn't play yesterday, and they're coming in from Arizona, so it's a familiar travel spot for them. Not a big deal there, going from Arizona to Colorado. Although Colorado, it's a hitter-friendly ballpark, but that's another reason why San Francisco, they're definitely going to use Webb at some point in the series. I mean, I'll handicap it as if Webb is pitching, though, so I think it is likely that he will. So San Francisco has a rest advantage here. They do have the better bullpen as well. Colorado used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Colorado, not a good bullpen. They're ranked 27th. They're one of the 3 bullpens with a 5+ ERA. Not good. San Francisco's ranked 25th, but they're in the mid-4s ERA-wise. I don't think they're that bad. I think they're like a mid-tier bullpen. So, yeah, San Francisco more rested, and they definitely have the better bullpen, so they have a bullpen edge. Colorado, they've been hitting well. They're at number 5 offensively right now. San Francisco's tied in 12th with the Astros. I don't agree with that. Again, San Francisco's numbers are skewed by a couple of major outliers. They're not a good hitting team. I think they're going to drop back down into the bottom third. So I don't think their offense is that good. I do like Logan Webb, though. As you guys know, Webb is also completely rebounded after he was bad at the beginning of the season, but he's a really consistent pitcher, and we know who he is, and I'm assuming he's still pitching today, but he might not. But he's been good for, a month or so now. He's got a 3.09 ERA in the season, 1.06 whip, so he's completely turned his season around. Those are good numbers, even better than his numbers. He's usually pretty good, but this is even better than that. So he's been excellent recently. And we did win backing him in a game against Milwaukee not that long ago. He's been good on the road as well, 2.84 road ERA, although he is usually not quite as good on the road. But the good thing for him in Coors Field is that he's a ground ball pitcher. He does not allow a lot of fly balls. He's not allowed a lot of home runs. So he does have a style that works well in Coors Field to keep the runs limited. He's got a low hit rate on the season. His strikeout rate is low, but he's not a strikeout pitcher. He has a low walk rate, too. Usually his walk rate's a little bit higher than it is right now, but he's been excellent over the past month. Like the month of June, he was awesome. He had a .71 ERA, 29-4 strikeout walk ratio, 19 hits allowed in 38 innings, and only allowed one home run. And he went 7 or more innings in every start. And he faced Milwaukee, Washington, the Cubs, Miami, and Atlanta. So the worst offense that he faced there, I would say, is Miami over that stretch. And most of the offenses are like top 10 offenses there or close to it. So, yeah, I mean, he's clearly in form right now. However, for whatever reason, he actually isn't good against Colorado. They have 99 at-bats against him, 323 average, 766 OPS. So the OPS isn't that high, but they do hit him for average. 21-6 strikeout walk ratio, though, is pretty good for Webb. But, yeah, I mean, I worry a little bit about that matchup. His numbers against the Rockies hitters just aren't that good. He's the better pitcher in this matchup, though, assuming he is pitching. He'll be going up against Ryan Feltner, although Feltner is actually one of the better Rockies starters. Grading on the Rockies curve, he might be their best starter. He's got a 4.42 ERA, 1.25 whip. That's elite for a Rockies pitcher. He's been a little bit better at home, surprisingly, 4.33 home ERA. Feltner is not really an extreme fly ball pitcher, so that does help him out a little bit. He hasn't allowed that many home runs, but, he's got some issues still. I mean, he's not a strikeout pitcher. He still walks too many guys. He hasn't allowed that many hits, but his walk rate is way too high. And again, you're going to get in trouble if you walk guys anywhere, but especially in Coors Field, and his strikeout rate is low. So I don't know. I still don't think Feltner is really that good. But he's facing San Francisco. They're not a good offense. And he pitched here in Coors Field against them back on May 30th. And he was really good in that outing. He went 6 shutout innings, 4 hits allowed, no walks. Although he only had 2 strikeouts. But he stifled San Francisco there. San Francisco's not a good offense. As I pointed out, however, San Francisco, they did explode for some runs somewhat recently, and this is a ballpark where they could potentially do that. San Francisco, though, they have not had success against Feltner. They have 44 at-bats against him, 159 average allowed, 417 OPS, 10-3 strikeout walk ratio, only 2 extra base hits that are doubles from Arias and Gilbert. So I like Webb in this one, but although they pulled him from the board here, the line was going to be in the minus 150s. It might change if Webb is not pitching, if San Francisco downgrades their starter. Basically, if it's anybody except for Webb, it's going to be a downgrade, so that number might drop a little bit. You might actually get some value on Colorado here, man, although the money looks like it's on San Fran. 57% of tickets, 66% of the cash on the Giants. I think you might be able to try like Colorado first 5 on the run line or something here. I don't really want to fade Webb, though, but Feltner, I mean, if San Francisco announces somebody other than Webb, you're still going to get Colorado as an underdog here, and you'll get Feltner, who actually does match up pretty well here, and has okay numbers. You're going to get him against the San Francisco pitcher that probably isn't that good. So you might be able to take a shot with Colorado first 5 on the run line here. But they are at a rest disadvantage, so keep that in mind. I don't love that. And obviously you have to avoid their bullpen. I mean, their bullpen, yeah, it's bad. All right, Apple TV, Tampa Bay and Houston. Kind of an interesting matchup here, and then I'll take a break after I do this one. Right on time, baby. Houston was off yesterday, so Houston has a rest edge and a travel edge, so those are negatives for Tampa Bay here, man. Tampa Bay is having to travel in from Kansas City, I believe. Or, wait, is Tampa Bay coming in from home? I'll look in a minute. I forget. They might be coming in from home, actually. Houston is staying at home, though, and didn't play yesterday. So Houston has some advantages here, man, and they just lost to Minnesota at home. So Houston should be in a bounce-back spot. Tampa Bay is probably feeling pretty good about themselves right now because they just, dude, they've won 8 games in a row, so it's like not something you really want to fade here necessarily. If you want to fade them, you're going to jump in front of a train, but maybe this is when you do it because, I mean, look who they beat over that stretch, right? They beat Kansas City in 5 of those 8 games. 5 of them were against Kansas City. So hold on a minute. Kansas City, yeah, they suck. Sorry, Zach. And Arizona was the other opponent in there. That doesn't impress me that much. The Tampa Bay beat Arizona. So Tampa Bay, they might be feeling pretty good right now because the Yankees at the same time lost 7 games in a row. So Tampa Bay now has a 4-game lead in the AL East. They're not as good as the Yankees. Sorry, I hate it. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate the Yankees, but the Yankees are clearly the best team in the American League. The odds makers, the way they line games will tell you that. Tampa Bay is obviously not bad, but they've overperformed. Like, they will be a playoff team, almost certainly. The American League sucks, but Tampa Bay's not this good, is what I'm saying. Now, they played yesterday. They beat Kansas City yesterday to finish that sweep off, but they're at a rest disadvantage now. And yes, actually, I was right that they were traveling from Kansas City. So that's actually a little bit better. Well, I don't know. I mean, if Tampa Bay was starting a road trip, they might be a little bit more focused, but they're coming in from Kansas City here. And they're having to step up in class to play Houston because Houston is better than Kansas City. Houston is rested, like I said. Tampa Bay, let me zoom in a little bit, I guess. Tampa Bay used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, and I don't love their bullpen, even though they're ranked 9th, which makes them seem pretty good. I think they're like a mediocre bullpen, though. They have a pretty mediocre ERA. Houston, believe it or not, has a better bullpen ERA now. After Houston was miserable from out of the bullpen to start the season, Houston is all the way up to 16th. They're definitely officially a mediocre bullpen now, and Houston's more rested, so that should help Houston a little bit here. Nick Martinez is going for Tampa Bay. He's having a good season, although he is one of those guys that pitches to contact, so the advanced analytics guys don't really like guys like that, and he's up there in age. But Tampa Bay, they got good pitching coaching, man. I mean, Martinez has been okay throughout his career, but he's definitely found something even better this year because he's got a 2.66 ERA, 1.15 whip. I mean, you can't really complain about any of that. Even though he pitches to contact, it's not resulting in guys getting on base. He's been really good on the road, 2.18 road ERA. So I don't really want to jump in front of Martinez here necessarily. He wasn't as good over the past month, though. He had a 5.14 ERA in June, but he faced, the Dodgers in there, Washington. Those were a couple of his lesser starts there. Although he also wasn't good against Detroit, which is less of a good sign. So, yeah, he's a little bit out of form right now. But overall, I mean, his hit rate has been okay. His walk rate is really low. He doesn't walk guys. But he does, like I said, he pitches to contact. So a lot of those pitches are going over the plate. And he has a low strikeout rate and a high fly ball rate. I mean, yeah, that does look a little bit dangerous profile-wise. But it hasn't really translated into allowing a lot of home runs, though. So he's still been pretty good, but yeah, he does not fool guys. He doesn't strike guys out. Martinez against Houston. I believe Houston has some pretty good numbers. They have okay numbers against him. It's all pretty average, really. 73 at bats. Houston has a 260 average, 714 OPS against him, 7-3 strikeout walk ratio. So those numbers don't really favor one side or the other here. They're like right in line with the averages. They're actually slightly I would say, tilted towards Martinez a little bit there. So he pitches okay against Houston. Spencer Arrighetti is pitching for Houston. Arrighetti is definitely the pitcher with the higher ceiling here, man. He's the way younger pitcher, and he's the pitcher that strikes way more guys out, which you can probably tell just by looking at him. But Arrighetti has really been struggling over the past few starts. He's got a 4 ERA now, and a 1.29 WHIP is a bit concerning. His walk rate has definitely been concerning all season. He does pitch pretty well at home still, though, 3.56 home ERA. But you look at what he's done recently. Most of it's been on the road, but his last 2 starts, one start at home, one on the road against Cleveland and then Detroit, that's not good because those are not really good offenses. He gave up 14 runs in 9 innings there. That's not good, dude. On 11 hits, but he did also walk 5 guys in that one start against Detroit, so his walk issues seem to be returning a little bit here. However, his strikeout rate has still been really good over that whole stretch. The last 4 starts, 7 or more strikeouts in all of them. So I don't know what we do with a guy like this, man. He's wild. He might walk a ton of guys. He allowed 6 home runs over those last 2 starts, which seems a little bit fluky, though. He's still striking guys out. He is a fly ball pitcher, but the home runs haven't really been that much of an issue for him. In fact, he's only allowed 9 on the season, so the fact that he allowed 6 in the last 2 starts does seem like an outlier. He does have a low hit rate. His walk rate is still too high, though. That's his one actual issue, really, is the walks, and he does have a pretty high strikeout rate. So what do we do with him? Because he was, chugging along, having issues with walks, but he was allowing very few runs, and then all of a sudden he had a really bad month in June with a 9 ERA. It's hard to back him right now, man, because it does look like he's not in good form right now. His numbers against Tampa Bay, they really haven't seen him, though. Tampa Bay only has 3 guys who have seen him. Diaz has the only hit, a single. They're 1 for 5 combined off him, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, 200 batting average, 629 OPS. One of those walks is also Diaz. I don't know what we do with this game, man. I don't. Tampa Bay being favored on the road, though, I don't know about that. I mean, Houston, they have the rest advantage. They have the travel advantage here. And you could argue Houston has the better starter here. The money is heavily on Houston here. Again, it looks too easy to play Tampa Bay, dude. It's basically like a pick'em price here. You got 73% of the tickets on Tampa Bay. The public is going to take Tampa Bay because they've been on fire. They've won 8 games in a row. They have a really good record. Yeah, there might be some value, though, looking towards Houston here. Obviously, the odds makers are not going to just hand you money, you know what I mean? So they're telling you they feel like this is a pretty even game here overall. 79% of the cash on Houston. If you play Houston, maybe you do go full game with it too, just to take advantage of the rest edge. Does that mean you actually back Houston's bullpen here? I think maybe you do. I think Houston's bullpen might actually have a little bit of an edge here because I think the bullpens are close talent level-wise, and Tampa Bay is less rested in that department. The money is also coming in on the over. The total's at 8.5. I could see that. I still don't love either bullpen, and, both starters, there are a lot of question marks with those starters, so I could see the over coming in here. The total's not really indicative of much. It being at 8.5, it is slightly skewed to the over, though, so it is on the higher side a little bit, more towards 9. So the odds makers, I guess, are kind of leaning a little bit more towards this being a higher scoring game, I guess. But the total's kind of right there in no man's land. I'll be back in a second. I have a play in the next game, and it is a game that involves my Boston Red Sox, so I don't even want to talk about them. I've got to play. I think there's a way to attack that game. I'll be right back. And, yeah, then I'm going to talk about I have a WNBA play, but it's going to be a game where I'm going to recommend waiting just for information to come out. But I'm going to say we're going to play on the play that I'm going to make. We're going to play it either way. It's just a matter of we might get a better number on it if we wait. That's the only thing. And I think the chances are if we wait and the info comes out, it's going to be a player. If that player winds up not playing, you probably know who I'm talking about if you followed my WNBA handicapping. Right now, it looks like she's not going to play, and if that is the case, then I think the number won't move that much. So I don't think we're going to lose that much value on it. And I don't think it's going to go through a key number. However, on the other hand, if she is going to play, then we're fading that team, obviously. So we're going to get a better number if we wait and she does play. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm going to say wait on the WNBA game. But I'll be right back. I don't want to. I'm going to have to say it again. So I don't want to make this show even longer. But hold on, I'll be right back. Yep, inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday. And yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right. Red Sox and Anaheim, we're going to do what I should have done yesterday. First 5 under 4 in this one is my approach here in this game. The Red Sox, they did have a day off yesterday, but I talk about how days off, I think they can kind of cool the hitting. Obviously, it'll rest the bullpens, but obviously, I don't want anything to do with Anaheim's bullpen as far as an under, so I'm going to avoid the bullpens here. Red Sox have a day off. They're traveling cross country, though, and I talk about how East Coast team going west for a late night game, it can affect their hitting. It affects their biological clock. Now, with the Red Sox, Wilson Contreras got suspended for 7 games for really not doing that much in that incident with Washington with Cade Cavalli and whatever. Cavalli, dude, I mean, he's kind of an idiot. I think he's a decent pitcher, but he's still young. He's only pitched in the majors for a couple of years, and he's like 10 years younger than Contreras, and he's yelling, "Sit down, boy," when he strikes Contreras out. And I hate, everybody's saying it's racism, whatever. I don't give a shit about any of that. I think that's bullshit. It's not racism. But what I think is stupid about it is that Cavalli has not earned his stripes. You know what I mean? It's an unwritten rule in any sport, really, where if you're a young guy like that and you haven't really done anything in the majors yet, and you yell like that at a dude that's in his 30s and he's been in the league for a decade and he has earned his stripes, you're not supposed to do that, man. So that's what I could see why Contreras took exception to that. And the league just wants to make a huge issue out of this because Contreras has been really fired up over the last few games, including in that Yankees game, the bench clearing brawl that wasn't even a brawl. It's all so stupid. Dude, I think he might be appealing, though, so that's the thing. So I don't know if Contreras is going to be in the Red Sox lineup or not, but he's been their best hitter, even though he was one of their offseason pickups. So if he's out of the lineup, obviously that helps this under. But I think even if he is in the lineup, he might have some mental distractions going on here. I don't care either way. Although if he's out, it'll help this play if he's out. But I think we could still get there even if he is going to play. But yeah, just something to keep in mind that the Red Sox offense might be even worse off right now without Contreras here. Red Sox offense has not been good anyway. Just going over what we have here. The Red Sox bullpen is still pretty good at number 6, although they have had some issues recently, but they're still pretty good, and at least they're now rested again. Anaheim's bullpen stinks. They're 24th. We're going to avoid their bullpen here. offensively, Anaheim hasn't been that good. I mean, they're 20th. They hit a lot of home runs, but they really don't hit for a good average. So I think we could keep Anaheim's offense in check. And the Red Sox offense does not scare me. They're tied in 25th with Arizona and Seattle. So even though I think Seattle's a little bit better than that, I even think the Red Sox are a little bit better. I think all three of those teams, Arizona too, are probably all better than that. But yeah, Red Sox have been struggling. Day off plus time change. I think the Red Sox offense is going to struggle here. I think the pitcher they're going up against is really good. Anaheim did play yesterday. They're returning home from a road trip, by the way, but it was a quick road trip to Seattle. They got swept on the road trip, and it's not the typical road trip return because it is still only returning from a one-game series, but they're still coming back from Seattle. So, the road trips can kind of affect the hitting as well. You can still be a little bit distracted, have to get back to home life. Maybe they won't pay that much attention to a last-place Red Sox team, whatever. Anaheim used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, but they don't have a good bullpen. But we're looking at the starters here, man. That's really what we're focused on. We're going to back Jake Bennett for the Red Sox. He's pitching well. He's one of this, the Red Sox have this arsenal of talented young left-handed pitchers, some of them big dudes, and he's one of them, even though he doesn't really throw that hard. But he looked good in his last start against the Yankees. Now, one concern is maybe he's in a letdown spot. Like Peyton Tolley was really bad the other day. He was coming off a very fiery performance against the Yankees. Tolley was in a letdown spot after that, possibly. I still didn't think he was going to do bad, but I think this is a better setup here, man. Bennett, I mean, you get to pitch on the road. The pressure's a little bit off. He is coming off a good game against the Yankees, but Bennett's been pitching well as well. 3.27 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's got a same road and home ERA, so he has insignificant splits completely. He's given up 4 or fewer earned runs in all of his starts so far, which is a decent sign. Pitching well in some harsh environments. He pitched well in Colorado prior to that Yankees start, so he's been able to pitch well in some pretty difficult road environments, let's say, or at least that one. He wasn't as good on the road against Tampa Bay, but still not bad here. He's got a low hit rate, low walk rate. He does not really give out free passes. His strikeout rate is low, which is a little bit concerning. He does jam a lot of guys and get them to hit into a lot of ground balls, which helps quite a bit. This month, though, if you look at his June numbers, 21-3 strikeout walk ratio, 17 hits allowed in 22 2/3 innings. That's pretty good. And the other thing that I like about this under is the Red Sox have not scored behind him. The Red Sox have scored, in his games, they've scored 1, 4, 5, 0, 2, and 4. That's what they've scored in his starts here, if I got that right. So they don't really back him with runs. Like I said, they don't really score that much. So I think backing him to do well, but doing it by way of the under makes a lot of sense to me here. So that's what we're going to do. And, of course, he's never been seen before by Anaheim, so he does have the unfamiliarity edge here, which I think usually does help a pitcher a little bit. A young, talented pitcher, usually the offense is going to struggle to figure him out a little bit. So I like Bennett to do pretty well here. But I think the better pitcher is on the other side, Reid Detmers. I've talked about him on the show. He's good, dude. He's having his best season easily this year. He seems to be really kind of, his career is taking off this season. 3.88 ERA, 1.06 whip, really good. He's not as good at home, I know. 4.35 home ERA. But his home opponent batting average is 199, though. So I think that ERA is a little bit misleading, dude. Because you look at his numbers here, like the hit rate's still low, the batting average is really low, so I don't even know what the deal is. Like, the walk rate's not even that high either. So it looks to me like he's just gotten unlucky at home. Like, I guess it's the home run rate being slightly higher, I guess, is what's doing it. So, yeah, he's not actually bad at home. Detmers has had a really good season, man. He's pitched well in almost all of his recent starts. Really, really good stuff. 2 or fewer earned runs in all but one start in June. And that one start where he didn't do that was on the road at the A's. So that's obviously a pitcher-unfriendly environment. One concern is he did have 7 walks over his last 2 starts, but that was both against the A's. So I don't really see that happening in this game, and it hasn't been a long-term issue. He's got a low hit rate. His walk rate is not too bad on the season. His strikeout rate is high. He's good, dude. I think he's one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball. Like, this dude is solid and doesn't get the accolades because he's on a bad team. His ERA, I think it actually should be lower than it is. Now, the Red Sox have faced him before. They have done mediocre against him, kind of. 269 average, but the OPS is pretty low, 668. And he has struck out 11 of them with 2 walks in 26 innings. So 26 at-bats, 11 strikeouts. That's a really high strikeout rate. So, yeah, I think Detmers does match up fine here. And I believe those numbers were all in the past. I don't think he's faced the Red Sox this year. I don't even think these teams have played against each other yet this year. So I'm not totally sure about that. But, yeah, so Detmers has not faced Boston this year. So the Red Sox have not seen Detmers at his best, which is this year. So, yeah, I think the under makes a lot of sense here early in the game. And the money seems like it agrees with this, too. The total in the full game, 7.5. And this is a somewhat hitter-friendly ballpark. So the odds makers are really telling you something with a pretty low total of 7.5. We're focusing on the first 5, and I found a good number on it. This was at, I forget which book. I think it was at the Roman Emperor book. It might have been at the M book with the Lion. It was one of those two. 76% of the tickets on the over, 55% of the cash on the over. So the money is fading the over here. So, dude, I actually do feel good about these two plays. With the market read looking like it's in line with me right now. It might not be the case later in the day and whatever, but it's looking good to me right now. So I like what I'm doing with these two plays. I feel pretty good. So, yeah, that's the play there. First 5 under, Red Sox, Angels. All right, Miami at the A's. Of course, we have to take into account this is a very hitter-friendly ballpark. The A's, they basically play in like a bandbox, AAA stadium, very, very hitter-friendly. Miami just came off a Colorado series, and Miami's unrested because they played yesterday. But the fact that they just played in Colorado at least means they know they're familiar with playing in a very hitter-friendly environment at the very least. But they split that series with Colorado, and 3 of the 4 games went over the total, so keep that in mind. Even though Miami is a very good bullpen, it didn't even matter in that Colorado series, so keep that in mind. The A's could be in a little bit of a letdown maybe because they did beat the Dodgers in their last game, and I believe they were off yesterday and staying at home, though. So the A's have a rest advantage and a travel edge because they're staying at home. The A's did break a 4-game losing streak, though, so they might have a little bit of momentum from that there, and maybe that momentum will carry. Miami, let me look at their bullpen usage. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. They're still a better bullpen than the A's, though. Miami's still ranked 3rd in bullpen. I don't think they're quite that good, but they're pretty good. The A's bullpen is significantly worse at 23rd with an ERA of almost 5. So, yes, you get a bullpen advantage still with Miami here, even with the rest situation. I don't think Miami used any of their good relievers really in a blowout game yesterday either. The A's are better offensively, obviously. They're 8th, but Miami hasn't been that bad at 14th. This pitching matchup, though. Tyler Phillips, this is a very hard pitching matchup to figure out. Tyler Phillips is pitching for the Marlins. He was going in what I consider to be bullpen games for a while, but I don't even consider them to be that anymore. Like, he's a converted reliever, but he's just out there making full starts now. So I don't even really consider this to be a bullpen game at this point. He's got a 3.02 ERA. His whip is a bit high, though, at 1.31, so he's not really as good as his ERA makes it look. He's really been bad on the road, though, 5.67 road ERA. So he pitches better in that home stadium, which is more pitcher-friendly. I don't know if we could trust him on the road, man. His fly ball rate's not that high, though, and he's got a low hit rate. His walk rate is way too high, though, so that's his one issue. His walks are ridiculous. And his strikeout rate's also not really that high. So his strikeout-walk ratio is very ugly. So I don't trust Phillips, although he at least doesn't allow that many home runs, really. But still, there's not a lot to really love here, to be honest. Like, he does still have a really high hit rate. A really high walk rate, recently. And then in his one start where he didn't walk anybody last time out and went 7 1/3 innings against St. Louis and was fairly good and allowed only 2 earned runs. Red flag was that he only walked 1 guy, so that's not good. And his strikeout rate, like I said, is pretty low. So I don't think Phillips is as good as his ERA makes him look. Miami's lost most of his appearances, so that's not a good sign either. So I don't love Phillips here. It's a very difficult environment for him. The A's do only have 4 guys who have faced him, 8 at bats. The only hit is a double from Langoliers, 1 strikeout, 1 walk, which is from McNeil, 125 average, 472 OPS. So even though his matchup numbers look okay here and he is unfamiliar to them, I don't really expect that much out of Phillips here. Jack Perkins is pitching for the A's. I think Perkins is actually a little bit better than his ERA looks. His ERA is 6. He's still a really young guy. I think he has some talent. He has some strikeout ability, but it's not a good pitching environment, man, pitching in the A's stadium, so that's a problem for him. But his whip is 1.33, which I know isn't good, but it does indicate his ERA should be lower than it is. He's had some issues at home, though. 6.23 home ERA. Doesn't look like he pitches too well in this environment. Pitched pretty well last time out on the road against Anaheim, but that was not in this stadium, you know. He's still been struggling. He's not going that deep into these outings yet. I think they are limiting his pitch count, which makes sense because they don't want to, like, overwork a young guy like this, although he is in his mid-20s at this point. He has a high strikeout rate, so that's good. So he does strike a lot of guys out, but some of these other numbers, man, I don't know. Well, actually, I don't know. His hit rate is right at 1 per inning, which I guess isn't that bad. And then his walk rate is actually not really that high. So his overall numbers actually do suggest that he's not that bad. The home runs might be a bit of an issue, though. His fly ball rate is really pretty extreme, so that's not good. Pitching in this A's stadium, you know, if you have a high fly ball rate, that's not going to fly, you know what I mean? Or it is going to fly in a bad way in the stadium, so that's not a good thing. I believe Miami hasn't seen him before, yeah, so Perkins does have an unfamiliarity edge, at least. You know, I think he does have some talent. He's got strikeout ability, but his fly ball rate is just not good for this stadium, so I think there are more indicators towards an over in this game than anything else. I don't really want to do it, but the money does seem to agree. The total's at 10.5. So the odds makers are kind of telling you they think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But, of course, it's an A's stadium game, so they do kind of have to throw up a total that high. 55% of tickets, 87% of the cash on the over. Money coming in on the over here. Miami played mostly really high-scoring games in that series in Colorado as well. So this is not Miami, you know. So Miami has been locked into some high-scoring affairs there. So, yeah, I think it could definitely be high-scoring. All right, Milwaukee and Arizona is also on Apple TV. Probably Tampa-Houston's going to get more eyes on it, but I don't know because Milwaukee's good, but Arizona's not been very good. Arizona is staying at home here. They do have a day off as well. So Arizona's another team that has rest and a travel edge. So a couple extra advantages. The A's have that advantage too, by the way. And I guess I forgot to mention the side in that A's game. The A's are a favorite at around minus 130, and the money's back in Miami. 50% of tickets, 72% of the cash on Miami. I mean, Miami has the better pitching, I guess I would say. I don't love Phillips, though. I think you could argue that Perkins is better just because he has a higher ceiling than Phillips, so I don't know. I mean, Miami's bullpen is definitely better, but I don't know about that. I don't think I like Miami in that game, to be honest. I think maybe A's first 5 in that game makes some sense there. A's with a rest edge and a travel edge there. But yes, Arizona has a rest edge and a travel edge here as well. Milwaukee's starting a road trip after a loss, though. So Milwaukee, it's not exactly a bad spot starting a road trip. But again, they're at a rest disadvantage. Arizona staying at home. Milwaukee did use a lot of their relief pitchers recently. They used 4 guys yesterday, but they did not use their better relievers, really. So Milwaukee's top-end relievers are available here. Milwaukee's 13th in bullpen, Arizona's 7th, but Milwaukee's ERA is like half a run better, more than that. So Milwaukee is the better bullpen, even though I think whip is a better indicator. But even given that, you know, I've been saying it like all season. I still think Milwaukee's bullpen is the better of the two. Offensively, Milwaukee is better. They're ranked 10th. Arizona's 25th, as I already said, tied with Boston and Seattle. Not great. Milwaukee's probably got the starting pitching edge here as well because they got Kyle Harrison going. He's been good. I mean, that's understating it. 2.57 ERA, 1.04 whip. Hasn't been as good on the road, though. 4.2 road ERA. So Harrison might be a little bit fadeable on the road, maybe in certain spots. He's been really, really good, though. I mean, his road numbers are also being skewed. Keep that in mind because he had one really bad start on the road in that ridiculous Vegas stadium that the A's were playing in. I would throw that out completely. I think that's just a complete outlier. Harrison's been really, really good again since that start, so I would completely ignore that. If you throw that start out, Harrison has not allowed more than 2 earned runs in any start this season. So, yeah, it seems like an outlier to me. He's got a low hit rate. He's got a nice, really high strikeout rate. Pretty low walk rate as well. Yeah, this is some good stuff. The Red Sox should not have traded him away. The Red Sox, he's another lefty, too, guy that the Red Sox would like to have. The Red Sox could have an arsenal of all they could have an entire rotation of good lefties, dude. Imagine that. If Crochet was healthy and they had Crochet, Tolley, Bennett, Early, and Harrison, literally an entire rotation that's good of lefties. That would be crazy, dude. And I think they're all above 6 feet tall, too. Anyway, Harrison, he's good. His numbers against Arizona are actually not good, though. In 27 at-bats, 407 average allowed, 1,021 OPS. So I don't know what to make of this because here's the thing. 6-to-1 strikeout walk ratio is good. Arizona has seen a lot of him because Harrison was on the Giants. So the good thing for Arizona is they're familiar with him. The thing, though, is that when Harrison was pitching for San Francisco, he was nowhere near as good as he is right now. So I don't think Arizona has faced Harrison like the really, really good Harrison that we get this year. You know what I mean? So what do we do? Like, how much do we weigh those numbers? Because, yeah, Arizona's not faced him this year. So even though Arizona was good against the San Francisco Harrison, I don't think they're going to be able to do as well against the Brewers Harrison. So, I mean, obviously, I don't want to bank on him doing bad when he's only been bad in literally one start this entire season. I don't think you could predict that Harrison's going to do bad. I mean, it could be a matchup where maybe he struggles a little bit. I wouldn't want to bank on it, though. Jose Cabrera is pitching for the Diamondbacks. He's a young guy. He still doesn't have his picture on ESPN here. I tried to back him in his last start, and he wasn't great. He's only made 2 starts in his career so far. He's got a 3.6 ERA and 1.2 whip. Not bad numbers still, though, and I think he does have some talent. His home start, he's only made 1 start at home and 1 on the road. He didn't do well enough to get us that win on the road there. He does have a 0 ERA at home, though, which was a 5-inning performance where he shut out Minnesota. His last start, he wasn't as good at Tampa Bay, but he got a little bit unlucky, I would say. Allowed a couple of home runs there. His numbers overall, I mean, his strikeout rate, you want to see it be higher than it is, but his walk rate is reasonably low. Hit rate is right at 1 per inning. These numbers are not too bad. And, again, he's a guy that does have some talent. And, of course, he does have an advantage here where he's unfamiliar to the opposing lineup, which is, I don't even care who it is. They haven't seen him before. It's Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a decent offense, but still. Cabrera might line up well here, too. I think this game looks like an under. I would go, maybe you could go full game. I don't know. I mean, you're getting a key number of 9 potentially here. FD and DK both have a 9 juice to the under at about -120. So you're getting on that key number of 9 if you do it that way. Although going under 9 does worry me. So I've done it before, of course, but sometimes, the 9 usually is an indicator that the odds makers think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but that is pretty high for a Harrison game. So I don't know, man. I mean, you could go first 5 under if you want to avoid the bullpens. I think Arizona's bullpen is a little bit more questionable. I don't hate the bullpens, though. 67% of tickets on the over, 73% of the cash on the over, but I lean under in this game. I could see the argument for either first 5 or full game under. I think I would lean a little bit more towards full game because you're on that key number of 9 there. And at least Harrison might get you a little bit deeper into the game. I don't know what else to think about that, but I do worry about Harrison's matchup numbers a bit. The money is backing Milwaukee, by the way, at -150 something. 78% of the tickets, 94% of the cash on Milwaukee. So the money is on Milwaukee there. I don't know about that. I mean, everybody kind of knows, like, Milwaukee's got the better record. They're a better team. Everybody kind of knows Harrison's good at this point. So there might be a little bit of value with maybe looking towards Arizona, getting them as a huge dog here. Maybe they could stay in that game. I feel like when I say that, sometimes it does pan out, but I don't know. I don't know how often that's the case. It might be often enough that it overcomes, the underdog. When you're playing underdogs, you don't even need to win half of them. You know what I mean? So whatever. San Diego at the Dodgers, one of the big weekend series here. Happy America with this, what looks like apple pie chips or something. Or apple pie fried dough? What is this here? I don't even know what, this is the Dodger Stadium, right? Now, dude, I'm taking a little bit of a side, it's apple pie nachos. It's at Arizona Stadium. So there you go. Yeah, I would absolutely eat that. Cinnamon and sugar tortilla chips. That's what we're seeing there. I knew it was something apple pie because obviously it's got apple pie filling and what looks like vanilla ice cream and caramel or something and whipped cream. Yeah, there you go. Bourbon caramel and it's vanilla froyo because you got to be a little bit healthier. But yeah, I would smash that. But yes, happy America. There you go. 250, baby. Anyway, Dodgers won the game in a ridiculously high-scoring 12-7 game yesterday. I did lean over yesterday. I did mention that as a play. I believe one of the options I think I also kind of threw out there was Dodger team total over, I believe, yesterday. If you did either one of those, you easily won that game. So there you go. It wasn't a good pitching matchup. It was Vasquez against Sasaki. San Diego used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Their better relievers are available except Adam or Adam. I don't know how you pronounce his name. He's hurt right now. But their bullpen is still really good. I think they're a little bit better than the Dodgers bullpen. The Dodgers used 6 relief pitchers yesterday. So looks like Sasaki, did he even pitch? I don't know what that is. Dodgers are ranked 5th in bullpen. San Diego is 12th, but I don't think that's really giving you the full picture. San Diego's got the better ERA, but I think they're the better bullpen. I think San Diego's like a top 5 bullpen. Dodgers, I don't think are quite at that level, but they're both pretty good bullpens. This is a much better pitching matchup today than yesterday. Michael King is pitching for San Diego. He's good. 3.55 ERA, 1.18 whip. He is a little bit worse on the road, 3.96 road ERA, still not bad. Of course, San Diego's a pitcher-friendly park, so it makes sense he pitches better at home. He just faced the Dodgers, though, and he was not good. And that was at home, so that's not a good sign. Pitching at home in a more pitcher-friendly environment where he usually does better, yeah, it didn't go well. He only went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 4 runs on 3 hits, though. But the problem was he walked 4 guys, so it wasn't really him getting unlucky. I mean, he was wild, and he's walked 3+ guys in 3 of his last 4 outings. That's not a good sign. I know the Dodgers are a really tough lineup to face, but he has to face them again right away after that other one, and in LA this time. Probably not great. Did have 5 strikeouts in that one, but he's been walk heavy recently. I mean, the walks are a little bit of an issue with him, but they've been more of an issue recently. He's got a low hit rate, which is good. His walk rate is a little bit high, like I was alluding to, higher recently. And his strikeout rate is actually kind of low. I thought in the past that he was more of a strikeout pitcher than this. But maybe I'm wrong about that. But this is not a particularly good matchup for him. The Dodgers have a 250 average off him, which isn't that high. But they have an 828 OPS, and they have drawn a lot of walks off him. 30 strikeouts, 16 walks. That is a really bad ratio. In 124 at bats. So Dodgers are really familiar with King. King does not really have the upper hand against them at all. I think, the Dodgers have the upper hand against him, so not a good matchup for him. And he also has to go up against Shohei Ohtani, who is the better of the 2 pitchers, even though they're both good. Ohtani, 1.58 ERA, 0.9 whip, 1.7 home ERA. Believe it or not, is worse than his road ERA. But, yeah, that's still good. He's allowed no more than 4 earned runs in any outing this season. He's allowed more than 3 only once. He's allowed more than 2 only twice, although both of those starts did come in June. But, I mean, he still wasn't even bad. Like, one of those was on the road against Pittsburgh. That's a difficult place to pitch. They have a really good offense. Tampa Bay, they're a capable offense. I don't know what to make of that one. Padres have a very weak offense. The last time he faced San Diego was in San Diego on May 20th, and he actually wasn't excellent in that one. He shut them out for 5 innings, but he was kind of inefficient. He gave up 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. It wasn't the best start, but it was still good. And against San Diego, they don't have good numbers off him. 54 at bats, 222 average, 677 OPS. It's not total domination, but he's definitely been, he's had the upper hand against San Diego still. 12 strikeouts, 5 walks is not a great ratio, but other than that, pretty good. I don't really think the Dodgers are going to lose this game. I think the matchup edge does go to the Dodgers here. I don't know what the best way to play them. You can't really play them here because they're like minus 250 and the money is fading them. And I understand why. 90% of the tickets, 88% of the cash on the Dodgers. Total's 8. I mean, the thing is, if you're expecting this to be a low-scoring game, San Diego has the better bullpen, and their starting pitcher is a very capable pitcher. So given all that, I mean, it does make sense that you could maybe see some value on San Diego just because the price is so extreme. Minus 250. Like, Kings should probably not be that big of an underdog, man. Even though I know this is not the greatest matchup for them, I still think the Dodgers do probably win this game. But I don't even, you could lay a run line, I guess, on the Dodgers. I don't even know if I would do that. The money's also backing the over pretty strongly at 8, but this game looks more like an under to me. I think there are more pieces that fit for an under than an over. Both starting pitchers are good, even though Kings' matchup really isn't that good, and the bullpens are both good. So I think there's more in line with an under in this game than an over. But I don't see just a great way to attack this. You know what I mean? You could go Dodgers team total over again. Probably going to need them to score 5 if you do it that way, which they could definitely do. But, I don't know if I want to do that necessarily in a game where I think it might be a bit lower scoring. So I don't know, man. Maybe the best way to still play this is to lay the Dodgers minus 1.5 runs and just hope they win the game 5-3 or something. I mean, I don't want to just hope. Last game is Toronto and Seattle. Interesting scenario. Seattle played yesterday, and they're staying at home. Toronto did not play yesterday, so Seattle is at a rest disadvantage, and they just swept Anaheim at home. Of course, I liked the first 5 under quite a bit in that game yesterday. Didn't put it on my card, and now I'm pissed. Toronto was off yesterday, but they're traveling cross-country, and, I talk about how difficult that is. So even though Toronto has a rest advantage here, the travel could hurt them, because they have to go all the way to the West Coast for a late game. So I talk about that. Eastern time zone teams going out west, it's not very helpful for them to have to go out west. And I believe Toronto's in the Eastern time zone, right? I know there's almost sort of a Midwestern team, but I think they are. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong about that. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, Toronto, going from, even if it wasn't that, but traveling multiple time zones and then having to play late on your biological clock, that's not good. Now, Seattle, I think they do still have a bullpen edge. They did use 2 of their better relievers yesterday, though, so I don't know. The bullpen's maybe even out a little bit. Seattle's ranked 18th, but I think that's really underselling them. They're not bad. Their ERA is better than Toronto, who's at 11th right now in bullpen. I think these are both okay bullpen. I think Seattle's actually a good bullpen, and Toronto's an okay bullpen, in my opinion. Seattle, like I said, they've been struggling offensively, even though I think they have some of their guys back. They're still tied in 25th with the Red Sox in Arizona. That's not good. Toronto's not a great offense either, though, at 23rd, tied with the Reds. Not great. So, this game does look like it's going to be a lower scoring game. Toronto's going with Dylan Cease. He's been good, except again, he does get a bit wild. 3.02 ERA, 1.24 whip, 3.34 road ERA. So he's a little bit worse on the road, but this is a pitcher-friendly stadium here. Cease wasn't very good in his last outing, though, against Texas. This start was just insane, dude. He went 4 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs. What was insane about it is he had 5 walks, so he had more than 1 walk per inning, but he still had twice as many strikeouts as walks. He had 10 strikeouts. Cease has thrown over 100 pitches in 3 straight games, which I don't exactly love. And he's walked 4+ in each of those outings. So in the last 3 games, these numbers are just ridiculous. So 13 walks in the last 3 starts. but also whatever this is, 25 strikeouts. I mean, I don't understand. Dude, these numbers are just so ridiculous. Like, he has a walk rate that's so high that it would just destroy any other pitcher, but he also has a ridiculously high strikeout rate. He has one of the highest strikeout rates in baseball. He's walking almost one guy every 2 innings, but he's getting away with it because he allows very few hits, doesn't allow any home runs, basically, and his strikeout rate is really high. I still don't like this walk rate, though. But, yeah, I mean, Cease, he does what he does. You know what you're going to get out of him pretty much. His numbers against Seattle are decent in 52 at-bats, 250 average, 727 OPS. So those are not great numbers, but they're slightly in favor of Cease. 15-4 strikeout walk ratio is actually okay. Both home runs he's allowed to Seattle are to Arozarena, who is back from injury, but still, most of the rest of their guys don't do a whole lot against him. Naylor is 7 for 25, but the rest of these guys don't do too much against him. Although most of the guys haven't really seen him that much. But yeah, I think it's more in line with Cease pitching well here. And then we do have a big wild card in Luis Castillo pitching for Seattle, who is back in their starting rotation. You know what? I think maybe his confidence will come back because he was pitching really poorly this year, inexplicably, even though he's been pretty good throughout his career, and he's been a staple of Seattle's rotation. So I don't understand why his numbers were so much worse this year. 4.93 ERA, 1.36 WHIP, but they're actually getting better. And I think maybe his confidence is coming back because they decided to put him back in the starting rotation after they had him, going behind openers and having him come out of the bullpen and whatever. He pitched well his last time out at Cleveland, which I know that's not saying much because Cleveland's offense is bad, but he went 6 innings, allowed 1 earned run on 4 hits, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. And if you want a confidence boost, that might give it to you. And he's back in the starting rotation, so he might actually carry that momentum forward here. He's been worse at home, which just makes no sense to me. I don't know what the deal is here. 5.68 home ERA is really, really bad, even though usually Seattle's pitchers are better at home because it's a pitcher-friendly park. But I think he should do well here. Generally, I think he does pitch better at home throughout his career. Toronto's not a good offense, so I think he should pitch well. Now, remember, though, I did mention, though, that Toronto, they're going to have some motivational edges here, so don't forget that. Seattle is going to have some motivational edges here, because you remember, the last time Seattle played Toronto here, what was happening? It was the ALCS, and Seattle lost. I think in a dramatic extra inning game 7, if I remember that correctly. I forget. Maybe it was game 6. I don't remember. But Seattle, this is an ALCS revenge series here. So Seattle is definitely going to have revenge on their mind in this series. They're definitely going to be motivated here, man. Seattle is. They're definitely going to have their sights set on this series, even though Toronto's not playing well this year, just because Toronto was the team that eliminated them, in the ALCS. So that is one of the revenge spots that matters. Now, Castillo does have good numbers against Toronto in 109 at-bats, so we have a big sample. He has a really good 30-6 strikeout walk ratio against them, 220 average, 637 OPS. So I do still think the better way to play this game is to go under, though. I think that's what I would do in this game. There are some question marks with it. Of course, Castillo is a major question mark, and the money's coming in on Toronto. Toronto's laying a price at minus 126, 60% of tickets on them, 66% of the cash on Toronto. Now, Toronto does have the rest edge, like I said, but going cross-country might be a little bit difficult for them, and you're paying a price, dude. You're paying for Cease being on the mound, you know what I mean? Like, I think you might see some value on Seattle here, man. Because Seattle's just not that bad of a team. I think Castillo might be getting a little bit overlooked here. You're getting Seattle at least in a travel edge here, with a motivational edge here to start this revenge series, staying at home and getting them as an underdog. So I think there are some reasons to maybe look towards Seattle here. The money's also back in the over, which I don't understand. The total's at 7, so it's a very low total. Odds makers know what they're doing with that. They're telling you something with that total, man. They think this is going to be a pitching duel here, pretty much. 67% of tickets on the over, 82% of the cash on the over. I still think my preferred way in this game is to go under the total. At least you can get under that key number 7, most likely. I don't know if you're going to see a 7.5 anywhere. It looks like the restaurant slash hotel with the guitar that's mostly only available in Florida. They got heavily juiced 7.5 under, but yeah, I think mostly you're going to be looking at a 7 to the under, but at least you're still on that key number 7. All right, WNBA. Man, this is going to be a long. This is going to be long here. I have WNBA play, but hold on. I don't know. I actually have a World Cup play too, and hopefully we can get back on the winning side of the World Cup because I'm 0-1 in the knockout round, even though I was 5-1 in the group stage. Give me a second. I haven't put the WNBA game in yet, but we don't know what number we're gonna get on this. So, like I said, this is tentative, and I'm recommending waiting to see what number you get on this. But I'm not gonna talk about that game first. I don't think. First game is Minnesota and New York. New York, I mean, they could be in a little bit of a letdown spot because they did just win the Commissioner's Cup. So remember, they returned home. I think we got a little bit screwed, with Vegas not covering in that game. Remember, Asia Wilson was out in that game, which is sort of a hint as to where I'm going with my play today. The Liberty could be in a little bit of a letdown spot after that, but they're also not going to overlook Minnesota, man. Minnesota's the best team in the league, even though they're still without Collier. So when she comes back, I mean, they're going to probably be ridiculously dominant. Now, Minnesota is really good on the road at 9-1. I've talked about the Liberty aren't that good at home, 6-4, and I mentioned that with my Vegas play because Vegas has also been good on the road. To me, it just seems like the Western Conference is just a lot stronger than the Eastern Conference in this league this year. Minnesota, I mean, they're having to travel in from Dallas, but Minnesota has a rest edge, of course, because New York played in the Commissioner's Cup on Tuesday. Every other one of these teams has been off for a while. But you remember, I always say that when a team goes into a break on a good note, which Minnesota did, they beat Washington barely, though. But then they beat Dallas. That was a nice win on the road against a pretty good Dallas team. Their momentum could get stopped by having extra time off, so that is a little bit of a worry. Although I don't think Minnesota is going to overlook New York here. I think it's going to be a big game for both teams. Now, the money is fading Minnesota. 72% of tickets, 70% of the cash on them. They're laying 2.5, so that's what the odds makers think about this, though. The odds makers are basically telling you Minnesota's the better team here. The public kind of knows that, too, because they have the better record, but I kind of lean Minnesota here, man. I think it is a little bit of a letdown, possibly because of the Commissioner's Cup win for New York. I don't want to do it, but I think that, might be a look there. All right. Kenneth, what's up, man? Mischaracterized stories. Get the hell out of here, man. Everybody go give Kenneth a bunch of shit on Twitter. I'm not going to respond to this. I don't mischaracterize anything. Get on my level, bitch. I have way more followers and way more popularity than you ever will. Because I know what I'm doing as far as what I'm posting, and I only post the truth as well. So I don't know what else to say about that. I don't even know what story you're talking about, but you're a complete bitch. Get out of my mentions, you coward. All right. Let me see. What was I? Oh yeah, dude. This is also talk about sports on this. This is my sports show, asshole. All right, now. Chicago, Vegas, this is my play. Now, you guys, here's the thing, man. It looks like we actually probably know at this point what's going on with the Wilson injury. It looks like she is not going to play, but I'm still going to make this play here. Now, I might like it a little bit more. Now, I found Chicago at plus 8.5 out there. Now, unfortunately, let me see if there's still an 8.5 out there. Unfortunately, I might have to, because I did say wait on this, so I might have to change this to a 7.5, which I don't want to do. Hold on. Let me look at the injury report here, because I think the only reason why I would have dropped is because Wilson, it's been announced that she's out. She's still questionable. Yeah, I don't know. I would still wait. I would just wait on this. Wait for the information, because I think really at this point, all you could really do is get a better number on this at this point. You know what I mean? So if Wilson comes back, you're gonna get a better number on this. So I would just wait. I'm calling it 8.5 for now, because that's what I found it this morning. But I have to count it as, whatever we do. Like, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna count it as whatever I find throughout the day. as the best number that I can get. See if I time it right. But I like Chicago in this game, man, plus the points. And I know they let us down in the last game against Vegas, and then Vegas let us down in the next game. But look at the spot for Vegas here, dude. They're returning home from a road trip. So, I don't like teams returning home from road trips. They were on the road for not quite a week, but still they're on the road in Chicago on Sunday. They beat Chicago, so they just beat Chicago on the road. So they just might overlook Chicago now that they beat them on the road. And, of course, you remember what I talked about in this game here. Vegas, this was a little bit misleading, dude. Vegas shot 52% from the field, 40% from three. So those are some outliers that are probably not going to remain. And they hit 31 free throws compared to Chicago only hitting 16. So Vegas was plus 15 from the free throw line. They hit one more three and hit a way higher percentage from three. Chicago had 80 field goal attempts to Vegas' 63, and somehow Chicago lost this game and didn't even cover. It's obviously bullshit. And really the only quarter that decided the game was the second quarter. So this game was bullshit. I'm still pissed about it. Chicago won the rebound battle, dude. So Chicago clearly should have covered this game. They missed the +7. Of course, it was +7, remember? So that was with Wilson playing for Vegas, remember? So if Wilson is going to play, I expect this number to be like 10.5. So I think that's what we're hoping for. Because, the other thing I'm going to say is if Wilson comes back here, I'm still gonna make the play at the better number because I always talk about the reverse injured player spot. When one of your best players comes back, you know what I mean? You have to work her back in. You have to readjust again. You have to get you have to change your roles again. And the team's going to be a little bit overvalued, right? And they have to work her back a little bit. So if that happens, if Wilson comes back, this is still going to be a play. But again, I'm saying just wait until we know. So you'll either make the play at like +10.5 if she is coming back, or you're going to probably wind up on a +7.5, but I still think that's fine because you're still getting the best of the key number there. And again, this was an outlier for Vegas there. They didn't even deserve to win that game. Now they're returning home, and I talk about how the return home spot is a distraction. But in addition to that, it could be a hangover spot because Vegas just played. They lost for us in that New York Commissioner's Cup game. So Vegas, they played well enough to get that game, in my opinion, dude. Even without Wilson, they were just a little bit on the short end of that, which I know that's a positive for Vegas, but the fact that they played better than it looked in that game. But other than that, this is a bad spot, dude. They're returning home across country, by the way. So they're going to have to play a late night game after being on the East Coast. After being on the East Coast on Tuesday. So, not that much time to readjust to the time zone. So I don't like that either. Meanwhile, Chicago is coming from the central time zone, literally played Vegas in their last game, and they have extra time off. So Chicago has a rest advantage here, and they've had more time to adjust to the time zone, and they are, they at least have an advantage of having to only cross 2 time zones instead of 3 here. But it's still an advantage to them just because they've had time off to adjust to it. So another advantage for Chicago here. Vegas might be hung over from that big game against New York, and Vegas has a huge game on Sunday. 2 days from now, they got an ESPN game against Indiana against Caitlin Clark, so that's going to be a big game. So this is a sandwich spot for Vegas, plus a quick revenge spot for Chicago, plus it's a zigzag spot, a road reversal revenge spot off a misleading result. And if Wilson comes back, it's also going to be a reverse injured player theory spot. So how many of the angles that I look for line up in this game? Even if we don't get the injured player spot, I say do it. Take the points with Chicago. Take the 7.5 if you can't get any better than that. That's what we're going to do here. The money doesn't agree with me on this, by the way. We have 75% of tickets, 84% of the cash on Vegas at -7.5 right now. Obviously, I do not agree. I know it is a really high total, though, at 180.5, which, I don't love playing underdogs when it's going to be a really high total like that, but this spot looks really good for it. And I was going to say one other thing. Vegas is not as good at home. They're only 5-3 at home. So this is a team that's kind of beatable at home, and you're not even asking Chicago to win. You're only asking them to cover, although, like I said, whenever you play on the underdog like this. In a range like this, I would say put 10% of it on the money line. I think we've had 2 outright wins fading Vegas at home this year with some pretty big underdogs, so that's a decent sign. And yeah, if the line winds up being 10.5 because Wilson comes back, I would say put like maybe 3% on the money line instead. All right. What else do we have here? Oh, yeah. I'm going to give out a play in the World Cup as well. First game up is in the afternoon. I do not want anything to do with this game, which is a game between 2 teams that I think are not going to last long here. Whoever wins this game, I think, is gone in the next game. Australia and Egypt. Yeah, I'm not impressed, man. I don't know what else to tell you. Australia, they did beat Turkey. I think it was a really misleading result. I think Turkey was actually the better team in that game. That really just tells me that it was misleading, and it makes Australia look better than they actually were. Australia lost to the U.S. I mean, expected loss there. And then they drew with Paraguay, which is going to make them look good because Paraguay just knocked out Germany. But come on, man. I mean, people are going to look at this as, oh, Austria is better than Germany, or excuse, Australia is better than Germany because Austria drew with Paraguay and Paraguay beat Germany. No. If you handicap like that, you're going to be in the poorhouse. Don't be an idiot. Germany is obviously way better than Australia. Outliers happen. This Australia team is not good. And they played that Paraguay game in Santa Clara, California, so they're traveling from there to Arlington, Texas for this. Egypt, I think, is coming in from somewhere on the Eastern time zone. Egypt just had a draw with Iran, so nobody's going to give Egypt much credit for that. That was in Seattle, actually, my mistake. So these teams are all coming from the West Coast. Yeah, I mean, this is an ugly game. It doesn't look good, obviously. Iran, not a very good team. And Iran actually had more expected goals, even though Egypt had more possessions. It was a weird game. I think Egypt gets this thing done. I mean, I don't know, man. I think you could just play Egypt to advance. I think that might be what I would do. I think they're about minus 140 because they're plus 135 on the three-way line. And remember, the three-way line and the totals and stuff like this are only first 90 minutes. They don't include extra time or anything else. But I think Egypt probably wins. I think Australia is the team that's a little bit overvalued here. Egypt, I mean, they were not that impressive either, but they did face Belgium and play them to a draw. They had an expected win over New Zealand. It was really bad. But they played a more difficult opponent, in my opinion. I know U.S. is favored over Belgium, but that's because all the books are in the U.S., and they all know the U.S. is going to get heavy, heavy betting money. The U.S. is not actually better than Belgium. So I think Egypt has actually faced a slightly more difficult schedule here, in my opinion. Although, well, Turkey's not that bad, but I mean, Paraguay and Australia, Paraguay is bad, but yeah, the U.S. is okay. Whatever. But yeah, I think Egypt to advance kind of makes sense here. It's a low total, by the way, at 1.5. So odds makers are expecting not a lot of goals here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Egypt to advance might be the best way to go because then you get either they win they could win in regular time, they could win in extra time, or win in penalties, and that any one of those would win the bet for you if you do it that way. All right. The next game up is, I almost wanted to play this, Argentina and Cape Verde. These games are all on Fox today, and Telemundo on Fox 1, but not Fox Sports 1. Now, Cape Verde, they're just overvalued, dude, in my opinion. My problem is I think Argentina's overvalued, too. That's my problem. I think both teams are overhyped, because when I first saw this, I was thinking I wanted to find a way to play Argentina. I mean, people think Cape Verde can like hang in this game, it seems, because, oh, they had a draw with Spain and they had a draw with Uruguay. Yeah, I know, but if you dig into those games, Spain and Uruguay both dominated Cape Verde in those games. Those were both really misleading results. I think it's bullshit. I know those are not easy opponents to face, but still. Then Cape Verde had a draw with Saudi Arabia, which is not a good sign. Saudi Arabia is not good. So Cape Verde, by the way, they somehow made the knockout round. I think they were the last team to make it into the knockout round. They only had 3 points because they had 3 draws. So they just had a better goal differential than Scotland. Scotland actually won a game and Cape Verde did not, although Scotland beat Haiti or whatever. But yeah, Scotland got bounced by Cape Verde because of goal differential, I'm pretty sure. This is a different animal with Argentina. Argentina's minus 700, so obviously they're expected to easily win this game. This game is in Miami. Argentina just beat Jordan, which who cares? Easy win. That was in Arlington, Texas. So, the travel spot's not horrible for Argentina here. Argentina, they did play a weaker schedule, though. I mean, they played a pretty weak schedule. They played Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Yeah, that's pretty weak. Algeria did not look very good yesterday. I told you I thought Switzerland would win. Algeria did not look very good there. Argentina. Algeria did not look good. Algeria, did not look good last night. All these A teams, man. But yeah, my worry with Argentina, they've not faced a difficult schedule. Cape Verde is actually more battle-tested here. So that's the other worry that I have here. But I think Argentina does win this game pretty easily. Now, it's a total of only 2.5, and usually you see, like I said with like England the other day and whatever, usually you see a 3.5 with a team that's very heavily favored, but some of these teams just don't play very high-scoring games, and I think the air around Argentina, they have Messi, they score a lot, and he's been scoring a lot. I give him credit. He's got a lot of goals already in the World Cup here, but I don't know, man. I think Argentina's a little bit overhyped because of Messi. He's pretty old now. I don't know, but he is playing in Miami, though, so I think that will give him a little bit of an edge here because I believe correct me if I'm wrong, but he plays for Miami's MLS team, right? So he kind of has a home crowd in Miami, so I do believe that Argentina will have a crowd edge in this game here. Plus, Cape Verde is a pretty small nation, especially compared to Argentina. So, yeah, probably you're going to have Argentina with a fan edge here. I think the way to play this game is probably, you could look at the win to nil market, but I think Argentina win to nil is still like minus 190. That's a lot better than minus 700, of course. So you could do that, like play Argentina to win without allowing a goal. You know what I mean? Because Cape Verde has scored 0 in 2 of their 3 games, and Argentina has allowed 0 in 2 of their 3. And they tend to kind of play, I think they kind of are playing these lower scoring games. I think Argentina win to nil maybe actually is the way to play this, but you have to lay minus 190, so that does worry me a little bit. But it's a lot better than 700. I did give out a similar price on Switzerland back in the group stage with an easy winner there. Another way that you could do this, I would lean Argentina minus the 2.5 goals too. I worry about that because the over-under is 2.5. So really, like if you're laying Argentina minus 2.5, you pretty much need this game to be specifically a 3-0 win for Argentina. I could see this game being 2-0 Argentina. I could see it being 3-1, and either one of those will lose you that bet if you lay the minus 2.5. So that does worry me a little bit, but you could do it that way. You could lay the Argentina minus 2.5. I do think Argentina will win this fairly easily, though, in my opinion. But, I gave you my concerns with it, too. And then we're going to play this last game, which is my last bet. We got to get a knockout win right here, man. And I think we get a little bit of an undervalued team here. I looked at the market read, at least on Action Network, is actually saying that the public is on Colombia a bit here, and Ghana is actually getting more of the money. So I'm going to give out Ghana. I know this is a little bit juicy, but this was the best way that I could find to play this. Plus 1.5 goals at minus 159. And you might say, well, why didn't I do a split bet here with a little bit on the goal line and a little bit on the money line like I do in baseball and hockey? Soccer is a little bit different, man. Like the best money line you can find on Ghana on the 3-way line is actually plus 800, believe it or not. So some of the books really kind of think that a draw is somewhat likely here, which makes me like this plus 1.5 more. But if you wanted to do a split bet that way in the plus 1.5 and the plus 800, the numbers just get all skewed. Like you're just putting like very, very little on one side of it. And you're putting so little on the money line part of it that basically the whole bet winds up being on the run line part of it anyway. So it doesn't even make sense. Like it's very similar to doing it this way. I know we're laying 159 minus 159 on this. It's a little bit pricey, but this is the way that I found to play this. Like I was thinking maybe Ghana win draw, but the win draw was like ridiculous plus. But actually, maybe that, you could split between this and the win draw. I don't know, man. The win draw is like plus 200 something, I think, or plus, it might even be plus 300 almost. I think it's plus 200 something. So this was the best way that I could see playing this. Oh, by the way, Argentina and Cape Verde, by the way, I forgot to mention their travel situation here. Argentina is traveling from Texas. I think I did say that. Cape Verde played in Houston, so they're both coming in from Texas there. So stuff to keep in mind there. This game, we have Colombia coming in to Kansas City from playing in Miami. So Colombia is coming from Miami, and Ghana, I believe, is I don't even remember where Ghana was. Ghana was in Philadelphia, so I don't really think it's a big edge one way or the other. But what I think is the edge here is the situation. Colombia just had a draw with Portugal, dude. That's a huge deal. I mean, Portugal still has all this name recognition. People still consider them to be one of the top several teams here. I think Portugal's overrated, but Colombia had a draw with them 0-0. That was a huge game for Colombia. That makes them look really good. And that's what they're coming off of. And actually, they outplayed Portugal. Although, of course, Portugal didn't really need a win. Like, they might have just played for a draw here, you know what I mean? Portugal, they were going to advance anyway. I don't know if they really cared about, getting the top spot in the group or not. Now, Colombia did outplay them, which is kind of damning for Portugal. But Colombia still only put up 1.7 expected goals. I know that's pretty good when playing against Portugal, and they won the possession battle and whatever, but Colombia was the much more motivated team, I think, in that game. This game, I'm not sure that they will be, and they're coming off that huge game. I mean, well, obviously, it's knockout. Both teams are going to be super motivated because it's the knockout stage. And while, yes, I think Colombia should win in advance, and I did pick them to advance in my bracket and whatever, Ghana will win for us if they lose by 1 here, and I think that's fairly likely because if you look at these other Colombia games, look at their games, dude. They had a 1-0 win over DR Congo, which does not impress me. And Colombia almost had a 0-0 draw. They scored at the 76-minute mark to finally score. That's not a good sign because they were a big favorite against Congo and didn't do well. And, I mean, look at how low scoring this game really was. Both teams had below 1 expected goals here. So Colombia, this helps us out here because we need Colombia to just not score that much here. And I think that very well may be the case here. I mean, Colombia did win the possession battle, had way more shots. I mean, that was expected against a very inferior opponent, but they were not impressive in that game. So that would worry me with Colombia. And their other game, they beat Uzbekistan. I mean, that's not impressive either. Everybody beat Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan lost all 3 of their matches. They suck. They picked up 0 points, I'm pretty sure. Colombia, in that game, they only had 1.61 expected goals. I think that's kind of a red flag. They won 3-1, but they only had 4 shots on goal, 1.61 expected. They won the possession battle, but they didn't really dominate it like they probably should have. One of their goals was kind of fluky really late in stoppage time, too. So, yeah, I mean, Colombia did not really score as many goals they scored more goals than they should have, is what I mean to say. Meanwhile, Ghana has actually been more battle-tested, in my opinion. Ghana, they beat Panama. I know that's not that impressive. But they had a draw with England. So they're definitely battle-tested. If they were able to do that, that's pretty impressive. And I know it was a little bit misleading. England did kind of dominate the game, sort of. Like, they dominated possession, but England did not really have many good scoring chances at all in that game. So Ghana, they're not really a good offense, really, but they are good on defense. And that's what you want here, man. You want a team that's battle-tested. When you're taking a plus 1.5 goals, you want a team that's battle-tested and has been able to keep opponents from scoring. And the best offense they faced was Croatia, in my opinion, the last time they played. And this game almost wound up being a 1-1 draw. Croatia scored late to win it. they held Croatia to 0.42 expected goals, man. So that's pretty good. Like Ghana, their defense is playing pretty well, and possession was almost even in this one. So Ghana actually played pretty well as an underdog here too. So, dude, Ghana, they're more battle tested, dude. Ghana has been an underdog in 2 of their 3 matches, and they've covered the plus 1.5 goals. They've covered every single match. So they have not lost by more than 1 in any match. And basically every one of their games almost kind of looked like a draw for the most part. So, yeah, actually, except for the Panama one, I didn't really look at the expected goals there. I'm getting into it a little bit too much here, but hold on. I guess I'll just do it now that I mentioned it. And yeah, it's a long show today, man. It's Friday night, you know, whatever. Or we're talking about Friday night action here. Hopefully we get this right, man, because I want to keep winning in World Cup here. 5-2, you know, still not bad. I wanted to look at Ghana and Panama. Let me just look at this. I'm guessing that it was like a low-scoring game as expected. Ghana won the game in stoppage time. So like I said, this was almost a 0-0 draw. Yeah, I mean, Ghana lost the possession battle in this game, which isn't really that good, but they did win the expected goals battle. I don't really know how ESPN tallies that or whatever service is tallying that, but whatever. Yeah, I think Ghana's undervalued here, man. That's my point. And I think they've been more battle-tested, and I think Colombia is a little bit overvalued based on what they just did. And I think it could be a hangover a little bit coming off that huge game against Portugal. Whereas Ghana, I know they're coming off a pretty big game as well, losing kind of dramatically to Croatia, but I put less weight into that. So, and again, I showed you how these teams have played these games. They basically both have played some pretty low-scoring games here. Looking at the expected goals have had these games being pretty low-scoring. So this, to me, looks like it could be a low-scoring game. The total is 2.5, where it usually is. But, you know, yeah, I mean, I like this. We'll take the plus 1.5. I know you're laying a little bit of juice for it, but thank you, sir. Anyway, that's going to do it. That's the last game to talk about. So all the plays today, we have the Baltimore Orioles on the money line. We have the Red Sox and Angels first 5 under 4. We have, I said wait, play the Chicago Sky, but wait, and it's either going to be plus 7.5 at this point or plus 10.5. So I'm going to probably score it at one of those. I'm going to do what I'm telling you to do, and I'm going to keep watching the market, just watch the injury report. But really, I think just take a look. Like, you know, the game's going to be, I think, at 8 p.m. or something, or no, it might be later than that, Eastern. I mean, but whatever. Just keep an eye on it. Like, look around, like maybe 6 p.m. Take a look at the Asia Wilson report. I don't think the line is going to drop that much more from the 7.5, you know, because that's what they were laying on the road, so it can't really drop that much more than that. So, you know, I would take the points with Chicago there. And then, yeah, and it might be 10.5 if she does come back. And then we're on Ghana in the World Cup, plus 1.5 goals, although laying a little bit of juice with that. But I think that's the better way to play that. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe to the channel here. Got to get to 500, man. I know people don't want to follow me anymore because we've been ice cold recently. Oh, sorry, I didn't put that up because I don't even want to do it, but there it is. It's still a good run over the last 89 days. Like I said, you can't run at 67%. It's impossible. So you knew there was going to be a bad regression, and we've hit it right now. I win more than I lose, and that's what I do, but baseball has really regressed badly after I was really hot, so I don't know what else to tell you about that. Then we've still won on the season in baseball. Then we still won on the year overall by a decent amount. What else did I have to say? Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that up. My voice is not holding up. Patreon.com/LearnToToad if you want to support me that way. Some bonus Uke stuff there if my voice ever comes around. Because I want to, you know, start doing some live jams and stuff. Listen to this show, Toadstool Sports, on audio. You can find it on Apple, Spreaker. Numbers have been doing okay over there, but obviously I want those numbers to skyrocket if possible. Losercast will be back on Tuesday night. It was on Monday this week. You can check that out. New York Giants G-Spot podcast, and that is it. Got to eat some lunch soon. I appreciate everybody. Peace.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.